Alrighty, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the American Ricci Mahjong League. My name is Max, and I am joined here by our fearless leader.
Yes, you have Edwin here on the call with you guys. It's been a while.
Yep. And we are here bringing you some A2 action tonight. Unfortunately, we did have to find a sub. That is the name you don't recognize on your right there. That is, he will be referred to as Jay for the night, but we do have Rachel, Oliver, and Michael playing tonight. Rachel starting off as dealer with an Onko of 6 pin and an Onko of a Shanten for San Onko.
Yeah, and I think I don't know really looking at everybody else. I mean, you got Jay with looking very fleshy, either Konitsu Chinitsu, but not sure if anybody else has got anything.
Drawing very, very well into that Sozu. It was almost yeah, is that Tempai?
Is now Chinitsu.
I don't believe it's Tempai just yet. It might be waiting on
Mm,
the 6-0. I don't think so though. No,
Home.
no, 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 no. Not quite. There's the door
no, yeah,
palm coming across the way though from Oliver. Will that be a palm? I believe palm does give Tempai.
Home.
Yeah, palm gives Tempai, and now it'll be 4 so cuts, I believe, or 1 so cut. Yeah, 1 so cut is safer. And now it's going to be Shinichi Dora 1 Tempai for Jay, and Oliver is all of a sudden in danger with his open Dora 3. Meanwhile, Rachel is upgraded to
is
Suonko
now
Senpai.
Suonko Tenpai.
So we've got Suonko Senpai versus Shinichi Dora. We are starting. Oh, and that's
And
Senpai.
there's the 3, and that kills it right at the get go.
You love to see the sub coming in and immediately taking 12,000 points. Luckily,
Yeah, and I think some of you, for some people that's familiar with the community in the first place, the sub is Jay, or J Cakes as he might be well known. He is Australian, but he has offered to be a sub for our league, and we certainly need subs. We usually try to depend on people that register for the following season, but we're a little bit thin right now, so we already have Sylvie, who's from Canada, so we're just kind of pulling in subs from all across the world as long as they're available to play.
it's happened before and it'll happen again. It's just the nature of things, especially at the start of the season when we haven't really had time to bring in a new crew of people to be our subs for the season. It's pretty much any sub you've seen on our broadcast previously has been someone who signed up for the league but just was in between seasons. Anyway, so that does move our deal over to Jay, who's currently on our rights as we get the layout issues sorted out. Yeah, has 3 pairs in hand. Could be a Tanya, not really the most exciting hand. The Dora Haku is paired up in Michael's hand. There's one sitting in Oliver's hand as well. We'll see how long he decides to hold on to that. It will be a relatively good-looking Ishansen once the Haku gets palmed.
And Rachel's pretty darn close to having some type of Sanchoku on the table.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4 Sanchoku definitely looking possible. The difficult part of it, though, is definitely the fact that it needs to hit 2 of the 4 pin. Because otherwise it would be interpreted as a 1, 2, 3 and a 3, 4, 5. And the 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku is probably not happening given that she's cut 2 of the 1-1 already. Let's see, around the table, Oliver trying to get those points back. Has not the worst shapes in the world. He's gonna hold on to that Dora. Just doesn't see any. Doesn't really have the best hand just yet. Wants to prevent other from getting that value as well as try to get that value himself. It's another good draw for Rachel, and just upgrades her Ryan Shanten. Makes it a little bit wider, and now makes the 2, 3, 4 Sanchoku significantly easier to obtain. Lots of just drawing and discarding here for Jay. Just shuffling around safe tiles in his hand. Same thing with Michael across the way. No one really drawing much progress.
Yeah, I mean, Michael's not going to be able to really make much progress until they can get that Haku called, unless they just end up making that their
Yeah.
pair.
It's like if you happen to draw a 3 pin or 8 pin, like great. However, the 3 pin is fully held, so that Itsu is not going to happen unless someone deals in. Jay, considering opening for this, decides that he's going to play a little bit more discretionary Mahjong now that he's got that 12,000 points, which is a significant amount in Akanashi. I don't know. I know Jay's definitely last minute in here. Were we able to give him a rundown at all on the 30,000 mark and how much and the importance of that in this league?
Not really. it was pretty much on the fly. Like the
Yeah.
whole getting the Australians in
Yeah.
was
Honestly,
something that
I've
even just happened this morning.
oh,
So or even
Doratanki?
it was in motion this morning. So
Yeah, Doratanki Rishi for Oliver. Trying to get those points back. There is one still on the wall. I can't imagine it'll come out from Michael unless he accidentally misclicks, which would be tragic. But yeah, honestly, I've asked Jay enough what would you do questions regarding this league from my own games that I imagine he's familiar with the 30,000 point gap. I was venting to him prior to my Daisangen last week about the fact that I had 3 consecutive positive thirds.
that sounds like something I complain about.
3 straight games of over 30K third place, and then I got rewarded with a Daisangen. So, you know.
Gee.
Well, complaining works. Alright, looks like Michael has called it down for a no Yaku Tenpai. If he can get that last white dragon somehow, he will be able to shift to a 4-7 pin. Did push the 8 so, but honestly, overall, it doesn't look like the most dangerous tile in the world from a cursor.
I mean, if he could also just pair up the 4-7 or the 9, and then he would technically be
Yeah,
actual
yeah,
tempo
yeah, yeah.
beforehand. But
Yes, of course.
we're already this late, and so
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
take the
Suji,
K10.
I imagine that comes out. Rachel with the last draw does not get her Tenpai, so we'll just play the safest tackle, which is the 2-pin. Oh, yes, the 2-pin, which was cut by Oliver and then palmed by Michael. All right, so Jay was no 10, so that is going to move our deal over to Oliver. 1,300 points in the middle. Everyone would like to get back. Reasonable starting hand for Oliver here, and that draw definitely helps it out quite a bit.
Still probably gonna have to declare Ricci, but their draws to get Tenpai are getting much easier at this
Yeah,
point.
and that 6-0 pair really helps. Now the key thing is going to be finding a 6-pin, of which, well, there to go 2 of them.
There's
Can
another pair.
Yeah, I can't imagine he'll decide to take any shape that's waiting on the 6-pin, even if he does happen to draw an Onko of the 2-so or the 6-so. I imagine, yeah, so you'll just wait to connect
Yeah.
to Medora. Pinzu are looking very suspicious already, just from Jay's discards on the left. On our right, really not a ton going on. There's a floating Dora, maybe like really outside world of a 1-2-3 or a 1-2-3 Sanshoku or something. But that's very slow developing and not likely to hit. Across the way, that is Ishanten for Rachel. Could just pull in the east and try to pick up the Ricci sticks. We don't see any of those easts actually, so could just draw to it as well.
Interesting here that Oliver is switching out his pairs. Is now Tenpai. Obviously, will take the Ricci.
Yeah, I think he may have identified that just from the fact that Jay was cutting so many Pinzu on the left so early, that the 7-pin pair might be a little bit more available than the 6-0. Since they're both like relatively middle tiles, the Pinzu definitely looks like the safer suit. And 2-so just in general looks like just in general is a stronger weight than 6-0 if you're gonna end up on a Shanpon.
Yeah, and I think beginning of second row is probably still early enough that you can kind of discard those and not necessarily have to worry about being surprised somewhere along the line.
Yeah. And honestly, like when you have one Dora and you're the dealer, you're not super worried about anything Dama because you have just the fact that you have a Dora as dealer means that your value is already like competing with anyone you'd be fighting. In this particular case, it'll be a 40 fu on Sumo for at least 340, and on Ron it'll also be 40 fu due to the 1-mon Anko. 3,900 points if you can get it. Let's see. We see the east called from Rachel, pushes the south. Has also pushed the 9-pin earlier. Oh, the 6-0. Oh, the 6-0 is safe. So it is waiting on the Suji 3-so for Rachel across the way. For just to pick up the 2,300 points in the middle now that Oscar's Ricci stick, or Oliver, my apologies. Oliver's Ricci stick has gone in.
And he's basically down to the last 7-pin in the wall because Rachel's not changing her weight and the 2-sos are dead.
So I suppose
Or at least they're stuck.
I suppose it's possible that Rachel changes her weights if she were to draw a 1-so. Oh, speaking
there's
of
the
last
7-pin.
Yeah, I can't imagine that comes out. It's possible that Rachel changes her weight if she draws like a 1-so. But you have to think that 7-so looks safer if you're going to swap around that way. And now the 4-so has come out. Speaking of 7-so, that just gets drawn, but that has no impact on Rachel's weight. Oh, that's a Dora pair for Michael on the right. Is now Ishanten. But no, we'll never actually. Oh, that could call for this for Tenpai. Would have to deal in to do it. How risky do you want to be? Oh, there it is.
Boom.
Alrighty. Oliver does get some of his points back after the Tenpai push. Does hit
The
Ura.
door. Yep.
Yeah, so I know objectively, going from 330 to 430 is a bigger Ura shift, but nothing really feels worse to me in Mahjong than seeing a 240 hand go to 340.
Oh yeah.
With Ura and Ura. It's like it's only 3,900 points as opposed to, like, in this case for the dealer, as opposed to 5,800 for moving from 330 to 430. But it just, like, when you deal into a 2-hunt hand, you're not super upset about it. But then all of a sudden it says 7,700 points. It's like, oh, I see.
Well, I mean that's the reason why usually like etiquette wise, people in person, people are if you're usually told that you don't want to actually like announce the entirety of your hand if you're going to announce all your Yaku and everything until after you flip the Uradora.
Yeah,
Or you don't even want to make any contents about your hand because like, oh yeah, it's just Ricci only. Oh, sorry, Ura 3, it's a Mongon. And you're just like, just shut up. You could just flipped it over and then said it's a Mongon, and then it'd be fine. But no, you just says, oh, so it's just Ricci only, and then the next thing you know, you again flip over Ura 3, and now you feel like flipping a table because it's not just 1,300 anymore, it's 8,000.
The unfortunate reality, though, is that Tenho does not give us that option. We get the Yaku list, and then we get the dramatic pause before the Ura.
Yeah, Tenho unfortunately doesn't exactly help that out a whole lot.
Yeah, it's very showmany. Unfortunately, Jay actually just backfired on the 8 so, getting to the actual hands. Cut the 8 so down just to kind of simplify that Sozu shape, since he has good shapes elsewhere. Hit the only backfire draw immediately, of course.
Yeah,
Oliver's
but I mean,
hand,
not that much to do other than just continue on your merry way,
Yeah.
anyways.
Oliver's hand actually looks quite good, looking like it could just be your nice Riichi Tanyao, and definitely an easy Pinfu ad if he can fill in this 3-mon, which actually looks quite available. It looks like all 4 of them are in the wall, so definitely very possible for Oliver to do so. On our right, we have Rachel. God dang it, that's not Rachel, that is Michael. I'm losing track of where the players are already, and it's like, that usually doesn't happen till later in the night. Yeah, we've got Michael on our right. Has 7 tiles to an Itsu, also has 8 tiles to a Sanshoku. That is the wrong tile to fill in the Sanshoku, but he will happily take either Dora Tanki or just a
Boom.
Pinfurichi, depending on which pair ends up forming. The Tuso pair no longer going to be forming after Jay pawns it. Is
There's a
Ishan 10 for
3-mon.
Naomi. Yeah, and that's a fantastic Ishan 10 for Oliver. Across the way, Rachel has... Oh, the Haku's the Dora again. But Rachel is the one with the Haku pair that's going nowhere this time. Draws an upgrade in that shape. Decides to cut the 2-mon out of a 2-2-3 to play this for 6 blocks. Sees the potential 6-7-8 Sanshoku so that she doesn't necessarily have to get the Haku to have a Yaku.
Eat.
Right.
Michael gets Tenpai, is going to jam the Ricci. Once you click
Dorotanki
Ricci,
again.
Yeah. Yep, another Haku Dorotanki with one in the wall. We'll see if this one pays him out any better than it did Oliver. Oh, would have had the Sunman Chomp for Pinfu, but honestly, I'd probably still take the Dorotanki.
Well, I mean, considering how late it is, you wouldn't necessarily want to risk throwing out the Dora either.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, you can't really cut it, so it's your weight now.
Yeah.
It happens a lot when you're playing around like Daisongan and things like that. Jay on our left is still Ishanten and has to kind of Mawashi his way around this hand. It's decides to just hard fold with the 7-pin. Definitely a good call from first place. There's not really any reason to try fighting this.
Yeah, especially with no Dora visible, you just don't know where it's sitting.
Yeah, would have gotten Tenpai, could have pushed it, but it's impossible to know that without our perspective. All right, and there that is. Unfortunately, that last Haku is dead walled. But he did not end up paying out 12K for it, so we'll count it as a win for the Dorotanki.
That counts as a win.
Yeah, that's a win for the Dorotanki gang. Now Michael's deal with 1,900 points in the middle. We'll see if he can pick that up with a quick Tanyao. After some shuffling of points around with the respective deal-ins, this is pretty much a dead even game fighting for second place with all 3 of these players being well aware of the implications of getting over 30K. Rachel on our right, starting with a South pair and 2 Dora, definitely looking like the best hand in terms of value. Potentially speed, depending on when she can get this South, but it looks like Jay wants no part of that as he quickly owns this Chun. Oh, fantastic draw for Rachel as well as she upgrades the 2-4 Kanshan into a Ryanman with the 5-mon. So now once she pawns that south, it's going to be a very nice shape.
And another pair for Rachel, not necessarily that she needed it.
Yeah, I imagine that pair of one pin gets cut after the south pawn, but if she happens to draw into it in the meantime, it's an extra block. And it opens up the ability to pawn Dora as well, but with
That
one already.
7 needs to be called, I would assume. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, looks like we disconnected. No problem there. Let's get back to it. Probably missed oh, yep, there
7
it is.
was called.
7 was called by Jay, who is now still Rian Shanten.
Well, it denied Michael the chance to fill in that 6-8 block.
Yeah. I see. Okay. Oh, it could be shifting this towards a 2 Yakuhai Toy now with good draws like that. That's a great draw for Michael as well. Going to be Ishanten. Decides to get rid of that 8-6 mon shape after the 7 mon gets pawned, which is understandable. Just trying to get a quick Tanya out here, but can also pawn the 2 mon.
Oh, and there's your Tempai.
Yeah, what will Jay do here? This 5-so is Nakasuchi, of course, with a pawning hand, not really as relevant. Oh, that's a fantastic draw for Oliver. Is Itsu
Yeet.
Tenpai with an East Anko. Not quite Menholm, but still very pretty. And Richi, even if you get the Yasume, the 7 pin, Richi East is very nice here with the extra 1900 points in the middle. Michael doesn't really have.
Oh.
Dong.
There's the Apatsu.
I was gonna say Michael's gonna have issues with that 4-pin, but somebody else ended up getting that too, and
yeah, Jay as a nice sub gives Oliver his points back after introducing himself to the table with that 12K in East 1.
still in second place though.
Yep, that does take us to South though, where we will see. Yeah, I mean it's really hard to throw away that Tenpai. Like the 4-pin by no means looked any good, but do any of the other tiles in your hand?
I mean, are you just gonna break up? I mean, like even if you were to break up your Tenpai, you only have 4 tiles to defend with. So
yeah, we're not to defend in a situation like that. You need to already have 2 safe tiles, and you need to draw very well, or get very lucky with what your the person who reaches discards. Yeah, so it's better odds overall to just push for the win, and it just happened to be the Ipatsu draw this time.
yeah,
There are plenty of other tiles that could have been the Ipatsu tile there. It just happened to be that was both the Ipatsu tile and the high out.
now Rachel's hand has been steadily improving. Still, Rian Shenten looks like, but
It has that nice Dora, and that North 8-so Shanpon, if it ends up being the final weight, is very liable to wrong someone. However, Oliver across the way has already pawned a Haku and has a Dora in hand, looking to just run away with his first place, it looks like. This is definitely a quick-looking calling hand. Just needs to chi either 1-so or 9-so, which is relatively...
There's another Dora now for Rachel.
And a 4th pair if she wants to ship this to Chitoy.
I'm not sure she'd do that rather than just try to possibly just call and get this Tanya Dora 2 and get another hand as dealer.
Yeah, shifting to Tanya though just feels a little bit slow. It really just kind of
depends
on
I would say that she'd probably be able to ship it over if she got the 3-mon, except for the fact that Michael's also looking for 3-mon doesn't matter because Rachel draws it, and she could easily shift now to the Tanya.
Yeah. So now what? And that's Tenpai for Oliver across the way. So what opens up now for Rachel is the ability to a fantastic draw. Surely this will be north. Yeah. And even before that 6-0 draw, she had the ability to pawn the 8-0 if it ever came out from anyone, just to have that Dora Arianman.
Well, I mean, she could also, if somehow the Dora comes out, she can pawn that too. So it's like...
That is Ishanten for Jay, as he fills an Anko of a 9-so, which is unfortunate for Oliver, because that is, in fact, his weight. So there is another one in the wall. Oh, and the immediate backfire on the north, of course. Jay plays the 1-so here. Oh, but doesn't matter. There's the sumo. I was going to say, Jay shifting towards the possibility of a San Anko, playing the safer tile in general.
Yep. And unfortunately, Rachel gets shut down again on her dealership. Not as expensive as Suanko she had in East 1, but still would have been a significant amount to help her out here in this Hanchan.
This game's been progressing so much that I already forgot that we had a Suanko Tenpai as dealer in East 1.
Well, I mean, we barely saw it because it's Tenpai, and then 2 turns later, somebody else wins. So, I mean, like...
Yeah. It was just very unfortunate because like the push made a lot of sense from Oliver's perspective, just from like what he could see, and like also just East One being a more push happy hand in general, and it just happened to work out well for Jay, poorly for Rachel, and disastrously for Oliver. But things have kind of turned around.
I say
Never
Oliver's not exactly worried about that now, considering he's
Yeah.
in the lead by 7,300.
Yeah, one of those things is like you're upset about it, and then it is South 2 and I'm in first place. Everything is right.
This is
Speaking
an
of-
interesting hand Jay's got going here. It's not like it's expensive per se, but
Speaking of
there's
Suanko
definitely-
though, been
there's
a
definitely
lot
some
of
workaround.
Broncos all game. Speaking
Ah,
of no, stop it. All right, so what's the protocol if a sub gets a Yakuman? Do we still get the shiny plaque?
yeah, they'll still get the graphic because I mean it is I mean
Oh.
Sylvie oh
Come on, all right, let's
graphic because I
take
mean
stock.
Sylvie got one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Let's take stock real fast. 7-pin is dead, 6-pin is live, and 9-mon is 1 held. Could also just turn this into a Ricci Ipeco, or well, Ricci with an Ipeco chance, or just pawn this for Toy Toy. If you're really boring.
Well, I mean, if at this point, I mean, Jay doesn't know that the 7-pin is dead, but if you know that the 6. Wish we don't know about the 6-pin. 6-pin's still alive.
So the 6-pin is live, the 7-pin is dead, but Jay has none of that information. That's the first one of his tiles.
1-9 is out, and so like it kind of at some point you might just have to call anyways because you're just running out of available tiles.
Yeah, like when you see the first of 6 tiles for your Suanko Ishanten, it's really hard to pull the trigger, regardless of like what you might think about what's in other. All right, one tile on the wall.
Oh, yes.
Suanko Senpai's in 1 game. Can anyone stop this? Is anyone even close? Rachel's got a decent Ishanten, but has to push some really sus tiles. Oliver has a nice Ishanten as well. He doesn't really only would really have to push the 6-mon or the 7-mon. The thing is, Oliver's very reliant on drawing the 6-pin, which is not something that's going to be discarded by Jay.
Yeah.
And if it's discarded by someone else, it will be tragedy. If to the tune of at least a Mangan. All right, let's see if a Chi. Oh no, tile goes back.
More draws for Jay, but nothing's coming up yet.
Yep. Rachel has pawned the Tenpai though on the 8-pin 7-so Shanpon. Pushes the 5-pin. Sets up her own
7.
Sugi trap.
So yeah, actually, Rachel's weights are stuck.
Oh yeah. Well, Michael might find it in him to cut the 8-pin just because it's Suji, but he is also Ishanten. Oh wait, no, he's Tenpai. Oh no, 3-pin's Genputsu. 3-pin's Genputsu. Surely, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're dead. Oh, and that's okay. That's gonna be.
Okay.
Tanya Aldora too. Fantastic hand actually for Michael to pick up those sticks. But, like, bruh, we can't be doing this in the first game of the night, man. Come on.
Two Suanko Tenpais in 1 game.
Uh,
I know this was posted only in my club's Discord and in the Armel Discord, but yesterday I ended up converting a Hote Kokushi, and then in all last, even though the 9-mon was already dead, I was also Tenpai for Kokushi at the end of South 4. I'm just like, this is just ridiculous, and so far these two Suankos are just ridiculous too.
that was quite ridiculous. both of them dealer as well.
Yeah.
Luckily for the everyone at the table, the players at the table, neither of those came to be. Anyway, Oliver's hand is actually looking really good here, especially with the potential for the Pei Dora Shanpon, because the Pei is live. We don't see any of them, and that's a fantastic draw. Plays the 6-pin is just committing. It's like, okay, this is my hand shape. I'm waiting on this North, and I'm waiting on this Dora, and I'm going to get one of them. Oh, and that North might actually get stuck in Jay's hand. It is his seat wind. He has less useful tiles, so if Oliver can find a Tenpai here, that might be danger. Let's see. Meanwhile, on our right, we do have open with 1 Dora in hand, but it's not the easiest to use for Michael. I imagine he'll just take the Tenpai even if he gets the 9-so. because 1,000 points here. 1 gets him into second place, and 2 gets him over 30k. Both very important benchmarks
Gee.
to hit before you go into South 4. Yeah, does in fact play the Dora. Even though the 9-0 is 3-cut, wants that 1 extra weight, and it looks like it's going to pay off for him. Actually, Jay might suss out that the Dora makes that 9-0 very dangerous. Yeah, it does in fact
Because
play the
it's a negative. It's a -5.
Yeah,
And usually the reasoning goes is that if it's a naked 5 that's been discarded, then you have to immediately start worrying about either 1-4 or 6-9.
yeah. Specifically for the exact shape that Michael has, which is the 5-7-9, especially when the 5 is the Dora. Because usually if the 5 is not the Dora, like the only reason you'd have to keep it around would be Sanchoku reasons. With the Dora, like obviously, okay, like what if I draw 6-0? Oh, it has an opportunity to change here. Shockingly prefers a Ryanman to a Tonki. And
Well, if they had gotten that 3-mon sooner, then maybe they would have they may have decided to keep it a 3-3-3-7-5 instead and kept the
yeah, the
Dora.
3-3-3-5 shape would have been quite good. I think that last 9-0 is locked into Jay's hand. I think he's noticed the fact that Michael has only been drawing and discarding. So it's just going to be down to that last 6-0, which Oliver's also desperately looking for. Has not quite been able to find it. Meanwhile, taking advantage of that, Rachel is Ishanten. Rachel is Ishanten with a hand that would use the remaining 3-6-0. So both of these shapes that looked so good for Oliver and Michael might just be dead. Oh, but Rachel's Tenpai might actually now be on the 4-7-0, which would necessitate a 6-0 cut. We'll see how she draws. Somewhat underrated here, I think, by me at least until now, is the fact that Michael's hand definitely looks like it could be a Honitsu just from the call.
Oh, that's a great tempai for Rachel.
Yeah, the perfect tempai draw to avoid dealing in with the 6-0, and still waits in the 5-8 pin, which is not very live. We see just like on the board without looking at hands, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 between the pawn and the calls. There is 1 5 pin still on the wall to be drawn.
I think this is more of just trying to. I mean, like obviously she still wants to win the hand, but this is also a way to try to get everybody to get out of the hand.
Oh, Michael got punished once already this game for pushing a tempai. Let's see what he does here. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
hold.
see. So this may have backfired for Rachel because maybe if she hadn't reached, he would have dealt it, but then she wouldn't have had a Yaku anyways.
Yeah. With no Yaku
But,
there,
I mean,
even with so few draws left, you just jam the button.
You jam the button and you get everybody to get out of dodge, and you get net 2,000, right? So
yes. And now all of a sudden there are 3 people below 30k. Oh, looks like we have one more disconnect. No problem. But yeah, we have everyone below 30k except for Oliver, but everyone's very much within range of first place.
yeah, for where we were after East 1. This is now very close.
Yeah. Oh, and Rachel's hand is so good. She just like honestly even take first place with if she can get it closed. Looks like Jay is very much aware of the situation. Owns that west. Moves already to Ishanten. Not necessarily playing for first place here, but playing to be positive. And then there's, let's see, if Jay manages to hit Oliver, is that enough to overtake? Bad at mental math.
Just for Yakuhai only? So
it would be, so it's a 4,400 point gap. Oh, never mind.
Oh,
that was fast. I don't believe that's enough.
33,000. No, it's just short.
Yeah, just 1,000 points. I think, yeah, but the sumo also added food there, so I think even on ROM, on a direct hit, it would not have been enough to take first place. But he does show that he understands the format and gets himself over 30k. That's a very small game all around.
Yeah, this ended up being very narrow in terms of points being changed.
Minus 18 over for Rachel as a 4th place, like in the grand scheme of things, it's a very acceptable 4th place.
Yeah.
Like you're not happy about it, especially when you open a hand like that. But I mean, like let's be honest here. We've all taken thirds that were worse than that over the course of this league.
Yeah, I was gonna say like at this point, I think everybody is still relatively happy with how that turned out. Because even if you only have that 18-point first, like sure you want more points, but it's still a first. So you
honestly, definitely the happiest person is Oliver. He was able to deal into 12k, keep his head about him, and get those points back with some interest. And then lost a little bit just to no 10 payments, sumos, and all that good stuff, but was able to hold on to that first place at the very end.
So it
Something
looks
nice.
like they just I had to cue them in because obviously this is a manual table because of the sub,
Yep.
but they went straight into it, so we should be getting here in to the second game here pretty shortly. We'll see if we so for all the action it was, the final score ended up boring. So maybe what we'll have is stuff that's not necessarily as exciting, but maybe there's a huge point difference question mark that made no sense.
I'm sorry, I completely spaced off there.
Well, I was just saying, like, for all the action that we had, the final distribution of points was rather small.
Yes. A very, very close game with no real lots of standout hands, no standout scores.
And I was gonna say maybe we get the reverse this time around somehow.
Yeah, I could definitely see this game being an explosion of someone running away with the game. It just remains to be seen who. All four of these players we've seen run away with games before, but all of them also have a very even distribution, with Oliver being the only one playing who has yet to take a fourth. But I mean, that was Rachel's first fourth, and honestly, that's better than most thirds. Everyone is all four of these, or well, three of these players that are playing, and the fourth player who was unfortunately not able to make it tonight, were all positive going into this. Granted, it is very early in the season, but all saw some immediate success. Alrighty, and we're back into the game. We've got Oliver's first deal. Has 3 pairs. One of those pairs is a Haku, which is good. One of those pairs is the Dory indicator, which is not so good.
Actually, the door is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, you could definitely fill that into a shape, but yeah, the sand is looking like it's just gonna be all right. Let's see if we can get a quick Haku Nomi and take an early lead. There's something to be said for the mental aspect of taking a fast lead. And decides not to hold on to the 3-pin, preferring the 8-mon Kanchan. Honestly, it seems kind of interchangeable.
It does, but I mean, I guess if you maybe wanted it to possibly greed later on, you could have considered discarding the Monzu and see if maybe you were lucky enough to draw more Pinzu and shift to some type of Honitsu, but obviously that's not what we're saying.
It's definitely not what is currently happening. I was like, it's possible, but it's so far out of the realm of possibility, like in terms of like likeliness, that maybe just like, all right, let's just kill it fast. Plus, they're community members that are known to be superstitious about the 3-pin. Me.
About the 3-pin?
Yeah, I love the 3-pin. The 3-pin is my anti-3-so church.
I see.
All right. Regardless of dumb memes, Michael's Tenpai across the way for a nice Shinnomi. Winning 6-9 mon, have to imagine that comes out sooner rather than later. Though it does look like a decent amount of them are locked up in Rachel's hand, who is also a Shanten, actually.
Oh,
never
oh,
mind.
there's the 9.
300, 500. Let's move on to the next hands. Thank you very much. Now, in terms of dealer penalty, not the worst, but having your deal stolen in any capacity is never a happy feeling.
No, not really, not at all.
Unless you're Wei.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, all right, cool. I'm okay with that. I imagine these players are planning to play on we're planning to play 2 games tonight.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Oh, we tune into Jay's deal, who is Ishanten already. If he can fill in the 6-0, he can get this just nice Rishi Pinfu.
A little bit sad that he had discarded the 8 to start with, because if he hadn't, there might have been entertainments of like a Chanta type hand.
Yeah, really nice looking Chanta. I think he's deciding right now what he values more, actually, the floating 2. Oh, wow. He values the greed. Okay. See, he says that the 6-0 has already come out once, and even if he gets it, it's just Pinfu Nomi. So he's going to go back a Shanten, and now he's just going to take that Shanten back, I assume. Yeah,
Yeah.
and once one of the Dora acceptance as well as the Sanshoku acceptance that was given to him by the 6-mon and the 2-pin. It's definitely an understanding of like what's Tenpai's like the fact that most of his Tenpais in that situation are bad anyway, since you draw 1/4 mana and you just have a bad weight Nomi with potential Furry 10 if you do try to upgrade to Chanto. So it decides to take this Shanten back to greed some more value, which is hard to come by in Akanashi all the time.
And there's the Dora.
Yep. Now gives up on the Sanshoku on the off chance that he pairs the Dora and can shift that into just a Pinfu Dora too. Meanwhile, on the right, we do see a nice looking like Pinfu-ish hand if Michael can fill in the 7-mon or the 7 so and just use the 6-mon or the 9 so as the pair depending on which one fills. 7-mon would definitely be ideal, given that that is the Dora.
And I'm guessing that Jay probably figures that based upon the discards that he still has time to just kind of hold on to that Dora and see if he can't make something out. So I think only Oliver might have had like tiles that might have considered that his hand was actually progressing.
Each.
Sorry, got changed really quickly.
Dome.
Oh, we do see the unfortunate Ipatsu dealing on the Dora Richi, so it's just gonna be Richi Ipatsu Pinfu Tanyao. No Ura, but it's still a Mangan. Does decide to push the Dora Ishanten, or the Pinfu Dora 1 Ishanten, which is justifiable. Especially in Akanashi, you know, like risking 1 tile is never really the end of the world if you have a decent Ishanten, especially if that Ishanten includes Dora.
Mm.
And the fact that you saw the Dora come out on the Richi from Oliver meant that he likely did not have more than 1 Dora in his hand, so therefore his hand should not be like absurdly valuable. Though the combination of Ipatsu and Pinfu does add to it. For our dealer turn, we do see Michael filling in this nice 5-pin into the floating 4-pin. Has some like really outside chances at like a 3/4/5 Sanshoku. Could potentially find its way into, I don't know, just kind of like a generic Pinfu. Just kind of see what happens if the bad shapes happen to fill in correctly.
Which is
Rachel
the bigger thing for him really, is getting those bad shapes to fill in.
Yeah, Rachel on our right's got 3 dragons, or 4 dragons, did cut 1. Oliver across the way has the rest, so it doesn't really seem like any sort of Daisanion was going to happen. Oliver's hand does look very callable and very greetable. Could even potentially send this for a Manzu Honitsu, which it looks like he's trying to do. Really will just depend on whether or not Rachel cuts one of those 3 sellers. Look pretty set in her hand. Meanwhile, Jay's hand is hard to parse, if I'm being honest. There's a decent amount going on in it, but it looks very pair heavy, very Anko heavy. It has 2 things that are definite. It has Tanya and it has a Dora. We'll see how he decides to play that hand, what he decides to call or stay Dama on. Oh yeah, and there's the other 9-1 fill-in for Oliver, who's going to be hard pushing this for the Honitsu now, rather than playing, say, Chun and taking the Ishanten.
So
Yeah.
Jay is sitting Tenpai.
Home.
I don't think so.
Oh, it's not Tenpai. Ishanten, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. It's like it's difficult. Honestly, one, it's difficult to look at sideways. So Oliver denies the con. Sad. I'm not necessarily sure. Like I'm like honestly, my knowledge of con theory extent is pretty much just the extent of I like the shiny button. But especially from like an Ishanten with this much value, I'd probably be able to justify it to myself but it is Mangan already. Regardless of what Tenpai he ends up on.
To me, it just becomes a call of where you think everybody else is in the hand.
Yes, and this late in the hand is definitely a reasonable pass, especially because he already has
Gee.
Mangan, so it's very unlikely that he will create any more value for himself. All right, now Jay's Tenpai after the open, but that also gives Michael Tenpai. I imagine
Each.
you will see the Shanpon Richi. Yes, that does
Yeah.
lock in Tanyao, so it is Richi Tanyao. Both of the weights are Suji traps, however, all of the weights are also held. Is Jay willing to push the 4-so or the 7-so? Decides to push the 4-so. because he sees how many? One,
Nope.
2, 3. Oh, and there goes the 2. So
Doesn't
yep,
matter,
the CD
yeah.
does. Oh yeah, Rachel got a really, really nice Shanten for
Oh,
Sanonko. Oh, and there's the Ura. Yep, that 240 to 340 Ura is just always a killer. Yeah, Rachel pushed the 2 so she had a 3 of the 3 so and had Sanonko Shanten. Which is a very nice hand that just unfortunately hit the overflow tile, just happened to be the wrong one. Yeah, she immediately cuts the 2 so back this hand, doesn't want any part of it. But has quite the Honitsu looking shape. Actually, it
Yeah.
looks like both Oliver and Rachel might be eating into each other's pins, and now Michael draws an Anko with the 4 pins. So these pins with Honitsus that might want to form are going to be not the easiest things to, or not as easy to complete as they might look at start.
Although for Rachel, she doesn't really have any of the low pinzu that could possibly have incorporated that. Now, I mean, she does have the 5-6, but compare that to Oliver, who has like the 1-2-2.
Yeah.
You know, if somehow he needs to look for a 3 pin or something like that, it's going to be a lot harder for him.
Yeah, Oliver's hand is definitely getting significantly more locked up. However, on our right, we do see Jay in a very nice Honitsu Shanten again. Sozu again, same as the first time. And with the other players, not
Yeah, 8,000 points right there on the table if they can just find a way to tempai.
Yeah, and that might find its way sooner rather than later with that floating 7 so in Oliver's hand. That's just gonna be a quick pawn cut east, wait 5-8 so. And additionally, that does make the 8 pawning the 7 so makes the 8 so look not so bad. In terms
Yeah,
of
that's one of those little tricky things that I'd pull where it's just like, surely you don't you don't try to cut your outs as, oh my god, that's another Dora, and that is
Dora, that's Tenpai. What Tenpai is J1? J1's the 3 so Kanchan. So right now, Michael is also Tenpai. It is Yaku Nash. There's no Yaku.
Well, I mean, he has a 3 so Kanchan right now, but if he somehow gets the 2 and the 4 so, now you got Toy Toy to go along.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be it. Oh, that's so brutal. I mean, surely it's Origi.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, unfortunate. Only a Mangan. Only. You know, when you have a Honitsu in the Dora suit, sometimes only a Mangan is the unfortunate way to think of it. But yeah, very justified Ricci. Very it's hard to expect that one, the Honitsu to be waiting exactly 3 so, two, the Honitsu to already be ready. And honestly, it was well enough disguised. That's not the easiest Honitsu to sniff out. Because Jay played the honors from his hand very early and then kind of shifted back because he drew a lot of Sozu. Let's see. So Rachel and Michael. So this is turning into one of those like 2-player race games where you've got 2 people at the top very close to each other and 2 people at the bottom very close to each other. And really all you want to do is outplace your direct right. So these type of games, if people don't get like expensive closed hands, lends itself to just like fast open calling hands that really prevent anyone from making too big of a splash unless they get like Dora bombs.
Only right now at this point, it looks like Oliver is realistically the only one that can call this time for this hand.
Yeah, but it's definitely like very much in Oliver's game plan and benefit to be calling, especially now that he's got Dewey Shanten. Because it does take him into first place. Granted, a small first place going into South. Let's see, there's only one Dora around. It's in Jay's hand who has Kokushi. That's what he has. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 types of 3 pairs. So it's not quite as good as it looks. What does he need? He needs all 3 wins. So he needs all 3 wins of east, west, east, south, and north. We do see 3 of the easts already. Rachel cut 1 on turn 2. Oliver is holding 2 of them. So as soon as that east gets palmed, Jay's going to know it's dead. But Oliver might get to a tempai that doesn't palm that east. That's where things kind of get interesting. Let's see, and that is going to be what? That's the second south that we see. We also see 2 norths. Jay has not drawn progress in a while, but his pawn, he's also like been somewhat lucky, somewhat on purpose. Has not been.
He's also fading a possible Manzu Honitsu.
Yeah. Oh, and there's the tempai for Oliver. Yep, takes the Dama Arozuke. There's the 5 mon. So now the Sumagiri on that should probably be like the gig is up. Oh, and misses the Patsumo. But I mean, surely you're just happy to take this hand. Any hand that you see someone going Kokoshi, you're just like, all right, let me just either make sure this is dead or make it end. Make sure this is dead and let me end it safely. Though in Oliver's case, I think he might have been scared off from reaching on the east because if Jay's going Kokoshi, from Oliver's perspective, it should be likely that Jay has the east because he was still pushing some very live tiles like into like the mid late second row, and he saw he saw 3 total of the east, so he might not think that that east is very available to him. It just happened to be wrong because he Patsumoted. So might have decided that Dama is the way to go, and then he can kind of like wait and see if someone happens to cut the east. Great. If not, he can fold out as soon as he feels draws a tile that's a little bit scary to the Kokoshi, or until someone gives him a reason to, given that his hand was not particularly expensive or good at weight.
Oliver here has got a chance to continue the dealership. There's the south. Not called.
Doesn't pawn it. Decides to play maybe a little bit more close. He has some nice shapes. Might also just be trying to get some value out of his hand and get to a Ricci, because the shapes aren't terrible. He also has 4 pairs, so maybe look Eye and Chi-Toy shift. I'm not as familiar with his tendencies towards that. Let's see. To our right, Jay has Ishanten for a 678 Sancho, who actually looks very nice. Would also incorporate Tanya some of the time. I wonder if he'll open for this.
Oh, interesting. Now
That's
Oliver is Ishan 10 for Chi-Toy. Is going to pass the south and just go for the Chi-Toy.
Yeah. And now Jay's Tempai for... Oh,
my gosh.
Yeah. Wait's Tuso, Dama. There's only 1 left on the wall. It does not look particularly good as a wait. You can see that lower Sozu are just not an area that's really been discarded by anyone. Oh, we see a potential con from Michael across the way. He has filled in all 4 of the 5-pin, which are the Dora. Yeesh. But unfortunately, I believe this hand very likely to have to end up trying to go Tanya, which would necessitate the play into 1 so right into Jay's Sanchoku. He does have the option there.
Oliver not entertaining. I mean, with the south dead, doesn't see any benefit.
This might be the Ricci. The 1 pin I think looks a lot better than the 2 so as a weight. Yep, there it is. There's also the Suji Toitsu theory, and it's just a 1-cut terminal. People tend to trust
it. It is, but like Oliver hasn't really discarded any Pinzu, so it's like, how comfortable would you be discarding a Pinzu into that?
Yeah. The last time we saw a Ricci like this, Jay yeeted the 4-pin right into the Apatsu with an open hand. However, this time we see Jay. He has multiple Genbutsu, and it is a dealer Ricci, so he decides to hold back on the 3-pin. That looks quite not safe. Yes, like I don't disagree with you that lower Pinzu looks and Pinzu in general looks quite awful into Oliver. But with the fact that the 2-pin was cut so early and the 1-pin was cut from Michael, you might read that the fact that the 1-pin is available on the wall. And in fact, there is still 1 left. Which is honestly, like, for a 1-cut Chi-Toy weight, 1 in the wall is about as good as you can hope for. Now, the thing is, Michael, pretty much the value on this hand is so good.
Yep.
And if you get bombs, you get bombs. Oh, and Rachel's actually made her way to a Jinsha. Waiting Tunky on the 9-pin, which unbeknownst to her is dead. Oh, and there's
gosh, there's the 1-pin.
Richie Sumo Chi-Toy. Are we gonna see the Ura for Hane? Nope. We do not. Alright, so just 3,200 points all, just shy of a dealer Mangan. But yeah, like we mentioned before the game, Oliver seems to be running away with this one.
And this isn't, I mean, this isn't going to be a fast starting hand, but it's a starting hand that can certainly point in.
This is definitely one of those like
directions. One
of those meme starting hands. You're just like, all right, well, this hand is so far away from everything that we're just kind of play random tiles and see what happens. I was playing a little bit earlier today. I turned a hand like this into a 3-win call Honoroto.
But that's what I mean. It's like this hand can certainly be callable if you draw the right tiles. And
yeah, and starting with the East pair as dealer and South is always very nice because it's so much more likely you get it than you do in the East round.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jay fills in the 3-mon into the overlapping 1, 2, 4, 5-mon shape. Very helpful draw. The rest of the hand doesn't look super great, but definitely playable. Across the way, Michael's hand looking pretty solid. Could shift this towards a Tanyao potentially. Actually has a really nice route to shift this towards a Tanyao. Because if he draws, or even just a Pinfu, because if he draws 1, 4, or 7-mon, then all of a sudden he has a really, really nice Ishanten that all he has to do is just cut south-south. Oh, I looked away for like 2 seconds when Oliver drew an Onko of the East.
Yep, and unfortunate for him, had discarded the North, drew one back 2 turns later.
Yeah. Well, that's not really something you can really be overly upset
No.
about. It's just like,
I mean, you could argue that maybe you could have kept the North because I mean, how much is an 8 so any better?
Oh, I think the 8 was filled in a little bit after. But I think the cut would have been Haku, but the Haku was too cut at that point. But it's also
Yeah,
nice.
okay, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also nice to have a safe tile. There's the Pinfu draw. Okay. Cuts the 4-pin. Oh, potentially holding out for a Honitsu, I think Michael is, because he definitely needs a couple more points than he currently has. Might be willing, yeah, especially with a draw like 8-mon, maybe. Oh, no, okay.
What? Oh,
Just gonna take the Ishanten then. Has the potential for Richi Peiko.
I think maybe they're
also-
entertaining. Are they entertaining Sanchoku if they somehow draw the Dora?
Yeah, I think that's definitely possible. Yeah, keeping the door acceptance around. That 4-pin is going to get really dangerous really quick, though, if anyone hits Tenpai. It's just not going to be a tile that you want to push into any Richis. Speaking of Tenpai, that is not quite Tenpai for Jay, but it is an upgrade to his Ishanten. Actually, no. It just keeps the Ishanten the same, honestly. There it is. Okay, yeah. And now Michael has made his way back to... Ooh, that's a very interesting draw for...
I mean, the Haku's
yeah, the Haku's
pair
dead.
though.
Yeah, the Haku's dead, so he's gonna hold out for the that last 4-pin and hope to form a Ryanman. The 4-pin dying is actually very bad for Oliver. Okay, let's see. So Michael across the way, still Ishanten, Tenpai on 4-7-mon, as well as 4-so, 3-6-0, and South. It's going to be the immediate call to Tenpai on Rachel's Rishi from Oliver. Oh, Rachel Suji traps her own weights on the 2-mon 9-so Shanpon. It's just Rishi Nomi, but it's a fairly likely weight to get dealt into. And there are how many tiles in the wall? Just the 2 9-so.
Just the 2 9s.
Yeah, but those 9-so are definitely tiles you can justify pushing, especially if you're Oliver here, who has Tenpai as dealer.
Yeah, and Oliver's actually just down to 1 4-pin.
Oh, Khan, you're Tenpai. No, okay. Sees that his weight is a hell weight and thinks, okay, I'm probably creating more problems for myself than benefit. Probably a good idea, especially because we know that he was not going to Rinchan. That is not quite Tenpai for Michael, but he does leave himself a bunch more outs by pointing that. That is unfortunately not one of them, though it is a possible tile if he wants to. Yep. Let's see. 1-mon is Genbutsu and looks safe to everyone. Yeah. Looks like this is just going to go to exhaust with 2 Tenpais. Rachel overtakes Michael, gets herself into 3rd place. Oliver keeps his deal. Everyone else loses 1,500. And this looks like danger.
Yeah.
Though the door draw might put the kibosh on any Honitsu plans.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe not. There it is. All right. Maybe not Honitsu, but probably Chinitsu, honestly, unless you draw exactly East or Chun. But there's definitely no shortage of information on the table on what is going on here with draws and discards like that, or with a call.
I'm wondering what Rachel will give Oliver, if anything, and that'll just make it infinitely harder for Oliver to actually convert with this hand, because I mean the only other call you can make right now is with the 7-pin, and who's discarding a 7-pin into this?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one call towards it, you don't need to worry about it too much. Like, Jay might just kind of push it, and it's like, all right, if it gets palmed, it gets palmed. Jay is, like, very much a proponent of like, if you're Toyman or Shimacha, you just throw, like, middle-ish tiles for just the Chinitsu, because, like, either they pass or they get palmed, and that significantly, like, lessens the amount of tiles that they have to work with in terms of what their weight can be. Just makes things very
See,
easy
the
to
1-so
read.
would have been interesting if some of the Oliver's tiles were more edgy, but they're not.
Yeah, there's just no way. There's only one way
Switched
this
it to
hand's
something
getting
else,
played.
but like you just can't hear, and you're just stuck with the Honitsu Chinitsu.
Yeah, that's something to note. Oliver's prioritizing getting rid of the 1-so over this 2-mon because of its proximity to the Dora. He does not want to deal with that later. Oh, draws the 2-pin 1 turn too late. Oh, that's Tenpai for Jay. I'm just gonna be Richi with a potential for Tanyali Peiko if he can get the 6-0. Definitely something I really like doing myself as well. When you get
Sumo.
the
Oi!
there's the impossible. When you see someone going Honitsu / Shinitsu, if you feel like you can beat them to Tenpai, just jamming a Richi and forcing them to make choices is always very nice. That sumo is just gonna be Richi, Ipatsu, Sumo, no Ura, so just 1,000, 2,000 plus the Hombo, and we move on to South 2. Or we have a
I
South
mean,
door.
it is only 4,000, but at the same time now, Jay is a flat 10,000 behind, and it's not going to take. It wouldn't necessarily take a whole lot for him to actually catch up.
Yeah, and with Kiryaga manga, that very much opens the window for ties as well. Very, very possible. See, looking around, the hands at the table aren't the most like appealing. Michael's is definitely the best hand at the table. Looks quite nice. Has a Ipeco potential. 2-3-4 Sancho. Actually, yeah, that's a very good hand. I don't know what I was saying. 2-3-4 Sanshoku. Now confirmed Ipeco. Yeah, cuts the 7-8 pin, going for that Sanshoku, and now he's Ishan-ten for it as well. See, Tuso is 2 available. Formon is 3 available. So definitely quite impossible to hit this Sanshoku. But even Richi Pinfu Ipeco is huge for him in this score situation. And if you can add an Uradora, it's also quite useful. That's when he sees maybe sending off the warning signs to people that maybe this is like a Chinitsu or a Honitsu because he
Yeah,
cannot.
I actually like this, especially if he can somehow end up waiting on the Manzu,
Yeah.
because it'll be perfect. It'll be fairly disguised if he manages to do it. Oh, that's
Rishi
unfortunate.
Pinfui Peko is still like I think worth taking here. He might choose to Dama trying to greed and get himself back over 30k. Does choose to do so.
Yeah, but the eight so probably will start getting people a little concerned at that point, because if it is supposed to be a Chinitsu Honitsu, then now you're
You
just
can't-
starting to suit that you're
Yeah.
thinking that they're waiting on, and
Oh,
okay.
there's the immediate upgrade.
Each.
Okay, is he gonna Dama? No. Decides just is not willing to risk the very sad low out of 5 so here. So just takes the Ricci. But also anyone who might have been paying like super close attention probably noticed the brief pause in the 4 pin. So maybe and that plus the Tadachi 1 mana Ricci maybe calls into question whether or not this is actually a Chinitsu. It's gonna be a chase waiting on just Ricci Pinfu from Rachel. Yeah, and this is kind of what I meant when I said earlier. Oh,
Ooh,
so bad.
Wrong.
ooh,
That's so bad. Oh, Richie Pinfu
that is
Sanchoku
expensive.
Ipeco. No Ura. Okay. With an Ipeco, it is naturally difficult to hit Ura. Just because you have less tiles to do so. It's just a little bit more of a bomb when it does happen, but it's still going to be a Mangon. And now Michael goes into his South 3 dealership with some eyes on second place. Let's see here.
Possibilities for this to be done quickly, but
Apologies. Okay. We have decent shapes here for Michael, actually. Not like the most like happy thing in the world, but you're like quite not. You're like pretty okay with just if you can, especially if you can get a 4-so. Just taking this for a tiny Eldora and just trying to refresh. Rachel has some shots at Itsu. Would really like to incorporate the 2-pin Dora if at all possible. Across the way, is that? No, that's not. No. You can play the 1-2-3 pin and just like hard dream of Rion Pico. That's definitely not correct. We do see the 8-mon come out. See the 8-mon come out for the widest possible Ishanten here. Waiting, looking for just Richi Pinfu, potentially Peiko Dora. Should just be anything you can do, I can do better. Except minus the Sanchoku, so not really. I think this is a pawn you have to consider taking if you're Michael.
Home.
Your shapes
yeah,
aren't
it's
super
not.
appealing. You are the
Yeah,
dealer. You have a
really
Dora.
Yeah, you just need to get your dealership continued here and finishing this hand any way possible.
Yeah, it's like at this point, like it's not unless you get like an absurd hand, which like it happens sometimes. Like you don't really have eyes on first place in this game. But second place is definitely doable, especially if you can get one repeat.
Well, I mean, technically anything's possible as long as you continue your dealership. It's just
Yeah.
that means that you
But
need to continue your
you don't.
dealership. So
Yeah, you just don't want to tunnel so hard that you like end up throwing away points. Is that 10 for Rachel? No, not quite. but it is a very, very nice Shanten.
Yeah.
Very, very nice Shanten. Also has an Ipeko herself. Oh, that's not really the draw you want. I might. Yeah,
No.
I think you just throw that back. Rachel really, really looking for any sort of connection
Point.
around the 3-pin. Does not draw just yet. Let's see. 2-pin Dora. There are 2 for her to draw. That would be an absolutely massive hand for her to try to pull together. Would likely have to sumo it though. I think that is technically Tenpai. Yeah. It's technically Tenpai. It's Tanya no Mi, but it is Tenpai is Tenpai. Especially when the dealer's opening like this. She does have the last deal, so we'll see if she's. It's gonna be a deal, and is she gonna take it? Okay, she does decide to take it. Just Tanya.
Yeah, with no visibility of where the Dora is, I'm not sure she can.
Yeah, it's also
It's
early in the
like
league.
having maybe dealer continue a hand because you don't know if dealer's holding
Yeah.
Dora, and the next thing you know, your third place person is now second place, and you're way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Once the dealer's called twice, it becomes really tricky to try to do things like pass a win there for a better weight and better value. It is a bit unfortunate because she had a lot of potential value upgrades, but I can't disagree with the play.
4 pairs for Rachel, but this isn't ideal at all.
Yeah, I think the fast pawn is definitely yeah, I like it a lot. Plays the more dangerous 5 so early, keeps the potential Dora stuff around, but the toy is definitely the way to get any sort of value out of this. However, that's already Tenpai for Jay. That's absurd, and that might be any Patsu pay. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, that's so gross. It's just Richi Ipatsu. The pay was the cheaper route. That's definitely just honestly, if I got done by that, if I got done like that, if I'm Michael, like I'm not that upset about it. It's like
no,
there are worse ways to secure a third place. I'm mostly annoyed there from Rachel because I mean, shit, it's turn 3 honor Shabo. That's
yeah.
absurd. And it's not like Jay was the one getting more draws either because of Rachel's calls. Maybe it's his hand just happened to fill in that naturally. But yeah, that is our set of 2 games there. Big winner definitely Oliver, who's after the score is reset, is going to move himself into first place overall. Rachel took an unfortunate 4th in that game, but it's still going to be in 3rd place overall. She had a very nice first session.
There's a decent gap there.
Yeah, had a nice buffer of points. I think part of winning that Tanya on the last hand was also recognizing that her season was going well so far, and that it's a long season. Mitigating losses is just as important as winning when the tiles are good.
So let's see. With that game done, there were a slate of games that started at 6 o'clock.
Yep, it looks like
Yeah.
popping in real fast. We have a couple of games that are going on right now. There are 2, in fact. We have the A1 game and we have the B1 game. I wouldn't be opposed to actually swinging through to B1 because don't we have another set of games starting at the top of the hour? Or actually, we just
No,
had I
B1.
believe. So we just had a game start actually.
Yeah, the B3. Yeah, the B3-6. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd be down to just wait for them, and go into their games. Then
Okay.
that puts us at like a nice even like 4 games of commentary, assuming that they're playing 2 games. And as it gets me like some more familiarity with some people that I haven't met before. I don't think, which is
Well,
always fun for me.
6. This will be their second game.
Oh, this is their second game.
Yeah, they started at 6 o'clock.
Oh, okay. Well, honestly, commentating one more game and then maybe like catching the tail end of one more game might be the way to go then.
All right.
For us East Coasters, it is already 10 p.m.
And so yeah, B3. If you hadn't catch some of our other broadcasts, this division is rather huge. We are not splitting it at this point because we were basically borderline in terms of being able to do that. We would also have to assume that we got a certain amount of influx of people, and that people would be returning from hiatus, and people wouldn't be going on hiatus or withdrawing, and so it was just at this point more feasible just to keep B3 as it is and have a couple of promotions up into B2, and then if we evaluate for the next season if we're going to expand into a C1 league.
Yeah, it's quite the balance to walk, but I think it's very reasonable. Um, it's also got a very Japan feel where the lowest league is the biggest one and it's the hardest one to get out of. It encourages the cream to rise to the top.
Yeah, and that's what you see in like the JPML, for instance. Although they're so big now that actually you enter in slightly above the bottom division.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see.
But I mean, they're also at the point where there's like an E division, so you can just imagine how many divisions there are.
Yes, that is quite the lifetime of climbing. Is there? Do you
And
know? I'm not honestly familiar with the format. Is there any possibility of like skipping leagues?
there is a way for you to kind of enter in somewhat higher, but I think even if you do, you're still only looking at entering in and around the C leagues. I think you're only going
And
to enter in like one full level higher in that sense. So I
yeah,
believe you start, I believe in like somewhere in the D's nowadays,
yeah,
and depending upon I think your entrance exams or how you do the entrance, like there might be like a tournament beforehand or something like that. If you do well enough, you might be able to get yourself up into to start in the C's. But that'd be, I think, as high as you could go, which
yeah.
means
Because
that you're still looking at several years before you're able to get into the A divisions.
yeah, and that's with like consistent climbing,
Right,
let
because
alone factoring in setbacks.
right, because like if you look at our leagues here are quarterly. I shortened that because in GPML, everything except for the A1 league, their top division is semi-annually. Their A1 division is an annual league.
And I do like the
So
quarterly format. I think it promotes like one constant movement and two just like a lack of staleness.
yeah, and I mean, you're not waiting half a year for you to try to restart your climb up, right? And
Yeah, because there have
I,
definitely been
there,
instances where people got halfway through and were already in a very, very tough spot,
right,
which is, how you get people dropping out and no showing.
right. And unfortunately there is a lot of balancing that you have to do because of that. We only do have 24 game seasons, so it's still a bit short. um but it's still, because of the league sizes, kind of, you still get a chance to play most of the people, and then so it's not like as if, um or you can at least say that you're playing most of the division, even if it's
Yeah,
only 24
yeah,
games.
yeah. It's like, especially with the current division size, you're playing the majority of people in your division every single season.
Yeah, except for the B3, but
Yes, which is, it's a necessary practice while we get everything sorted out because right now it's just like you mentioned, it's just a very awkward number of players. Or like ideally you'd be able to split it into like two more or like two like 20 people divisions, but the numbers just aren't quite there. Plus the turnover rate is always highest with new players.
yeah.
All right, anyway, it looks like we are about to get into this game. We've got Scott Statda starting in the West seat. We're starting behind the perspective of Chris, the 1DM, who I believe was the provider of the auto table used for the finals at Richinomi, which is very much appreciated to him and everyone that put that together. Having the finals on a spectated auto table was very enjoyable. To our right, we've got Logan F, who I believe, judging by our stats on the right, is making his debut this season. And finally, we are finishing up with Chef McM, Jake, who is starting in the North Sea and will be our last dealer.
It's not a bad starting hand for Chris to start out here.
Yeah, has some really nice shapes. Has the Dora. Could just be a nice like Pinfurichi. We could also see just like a potential like 3-1 Shampong. Oh, that's an interesting fill-in as well. Decides not to take it though. It is though technically would be Shantan, but you really only ever get bad tempos out of that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd rather have the Avon. I might have liked the hedge, maybe like the one so or something. But if you're playing this for standard 5 block theory, I definitely don't hate playing 9 pin back. Across the way, that's actually a very interesting draw. I think, yeah, could potentially be an Itsu. Definitely. Oh, it's I didn't see the double 8 pin there. It's the double 8 pin definitely makes that a little bit worse than I thought it did. So
Right. I mean, you could. I guess you could throw in maybe an Epiko chance, but you're still a little awkward.
yep. Okay, and there goes the 1 mon out of Chris's hand. Did fill in the 2-so to fill in that shape. Now we're gonna have to probably gonna be looking to find a head with the 5 and the 8 mon Novaton. And just filling in, maybe even just filling in around the door. Oh, that's a fantastic draw as well, but now liable to end up on a very awkward Tunky wait if you were Chris.
Which is odd because I mean, you could have easily pitched, for instance, the 7 pin and kept your 1 mon pair. My guess is maybe they're thinking that they could somehow incorporate the Dora. That 7 months or 7-so certainly helps, but not
Now,
not going to necessarily incorporate the Dora. But
yeah, so it does puts them in a position to end up on a nice like Arion men that will still give Pinfu if they can draw the 4-7 mon or the 4-7 so. Unfortunately, the 4-so there they just fill in the 3-so the Russian Penchant. And now against Ricci Pinfudora as dealer. We'll see how the table reacts to this. That is a progress draw for Logan on our right. Plays the 8-pin. Does decide to go full bore for it. Actually does not have a Dora, but is he Shanten?
yeah, that's a central 4-7 mon on a suit that they've only discarded the 1 mon out of.
It's long.
Monzu just looks expensive in general.
Yeah, we've only seen a select few Monzu discarded. Oh, and that's gonna be a Monzu draw for Logan. Yeah, decides that 9-mon is the way to go. Looks like they're gonna be trying to break up their hand with some outer tiles. Or maybe even just trying to like Mawashi this into a Tanya. We will see. Let's see. We do have a Dora here for Jake on our left. Yeah, decides to play the 9-so. Sees quite a few of the 7 and 8-so. Oh, there's the 4-mon out, and it does come right out from the Pinzu heavy hand. Can we repeat Pinfu Dora? And is there an Ura? No, so just 5,800. That is the actual like Ura killer. If you can hit Ura there, 11-6 is not how you want to start off this game.
Nope.
Let me see if I can find what happened in the first game. Is it should have? Yeah, it looks like it ended just recently, obviously because they just started this one. Looks like Jake was the only one to finish positive. Actually, finished with a nice plus 34. Scott was a -1 second, unfortunate, just didn't quite manage to get his way over 30K. Chris with -10 and Logan with -23. So no like big minuses, but only one person finishing over 30K. It does leave you that nice extra plus 20.
Which pushes him positive now at positive 13.
Yeah, and especially with 3 players that are new to the league, that's really the biggest difference I think to me, like between this and like your standard ladder play. You know, a lot of these players may come to just like playing Tenho, playing Muscle. Doesn't look like very many of them have played a whole lot of ladder on Tenho, just judging by the ratings, which is absolutely fine. Though it's also not, it's always nice to get experience in the client you're playing on. But I know I've seen a lot of these players playing practice games as well as just playing like friendly nights as well. But like the biggest difference is definitely that proclivity for 30K that you have to have. You can really just kind of throw placement to the wind if you can get that 30K. All right. Well, we see Chris pulling it down, looking for potentially a toy, but really just looking for the double tone Senpai. There is only one available because we see it as the door indicator, but you know that just makes it more likely to be cut. Taking some aggressive calls, and you know, I mean, worst case you can just shift to a toy. Also, you can just shift to a Rinshan, you know. Rinshan no me, easy. When are we adding Rinshan Pow to the league?
I don't think that's a rule anywhere, is it?
You know, it's a rule in Saki, therefore it is a good rule. Alright, so we see Logan actually is competing with their own Adozuke. The early discards of the 2-pin, the later discard of the 8-pin, maybe lending itself, and as well as the 4-so after those, maybe telling people that this isn't necessarily a Honitsu/Shanitsu, but it might still be scary regardless. Yeah, we see
the thing is
now.
Well, they're also south, and you don't see any of the souths.
Yeah, but South Dora is really the big scary thing here. So let's see, is Scott gonna be willing to call that 5-so? No, but draws one. Yeah, and you can see he's not willing to play that South just yet, even though he's having to break up a Rion man. Oh, there's the South.
Okay, so now that should open the floodgates, and now
Yeah, the problem is
God's
now
hand should be.
now Logan's drawn a no Yaku Tenpai. Oh, but yeah, actually with the 9-pin Tadashi, maybe the South just went right back to
1.
being scary. Okay, we're gonna see the Ricci on the 3-so. There are 3
There's
of
your
them.
Tenpai.
Oh, yep. Okay, plays the 2-mon. Could have played the 5-mon for like the complex 3-4 weight.
Oh,
in
there's a
reality.
3-mon that's gonna be safe for
Oh,
the Rishi, but not safe for the suddenly now actually Tenpai Haku, or
yeah.
Hatsu, but it's only
Perfect.
1,000, so
Yeah, perfect timing for that draw to pick up the extra Ricci stick though. And really very little indication, with a player that's too open playing a random 2-mon. Definitely not something that you really should like. You definitely are worried about avoiding the Ipatsu more than the person that cut a relatively safe looking tile. All right, we see a lot of dragon. Actually, I think we see almost all of the dragons, just generally like spread throughout the table. Yeah, there's gonna be the palm, and definitely gonna see the potential greed for the Daisangen, but we know that it is very dead.
yeah, Chris will probably see that Haku come out eventually from. I would imagine Logan would be tossing it unless they somehow are going to get into a Honitsu shape and think that the Haku is live.
Though across the way, Logan has a very, very nice looking Ishan 10. Needs to find a 1/4 mon, and can have a Itsu waiting for, but also has a Dora pair. So may not necessarily want that. May just want to find
Maybe
like
you
that.
could just have Ricci pin Fudora too, and it's just as good.
Or maybe even you just take the Nobutan. Or yep,
Each.
speaking of Rishi Pin Fudora too, there it is. Unfortunately, the 2-mon was just palm.
Yeah.
So this is in essence a 5-mon with Pinfu attached to it. It's a 5-mon Kanchan that also gives you a Yaku.
But here's the thing, right? So if somebody draws a 5-mon, looks across the table and goes, well, there's 3 2-mon over there. He's discarded the 8-mon. Is he really going to wait on that 5?
Speaking of, how greedy do you want to be for this Daisangen? Alright, place the 5-so first. Sees the 5-so had already come out from Chris to our left.
That 5-mon's going to stick over there and
Yeah. Oh, and there goes the Haku Haku. Okay. So that's gonna make things safer for Scott. That's a good draw. That's now Ishanten for Sanshoku.
oh my
and
gosh,
there's
there's the other
5-mon.
5-mon.
Yeah, now that's gonna get locked up in hand as well, because that's a pawning hands with a door as well. That's definitely gonna end up being pushed. So there's one 5-mon left. Definitely could be drawn by anyone. If it's drawn by Chris, it might just come right back out, because he's in a really nice Ishanten. Oh, now has to decide which Ishanten do you want? You have Sanshoku and you have Dora acceptance. Plays do you have a safer looking 4-pin? Or actually, not really. 4-pin might have actually looked more risky. Oh,
There's
the
5.
Hatsu pair.
There's a Hatsu, yeah.
Yeah, pairs the Hatsu, and just like you said,
And it's the Ura.
didn't really. Yeah, I
Didn't
don't.
really
Yeah,
get
we have Kiriage, so it doesn't help.
Yeah, it didn't
Yeah,
really
like just like you said though, saw the general cheapness of Monzu, saw his own 2-mon pawn. So like this 5-mon looking pretty hard to wait on.
Home.
But unfortunately, just because you have all the 2-mon does not mean that a 2/5-mon is not possible. Definitely a very unfortunate deal and a very justified push with that hand. With potential Toy, you don't really want to cut the 6-pin Dora, of course. Had potential 2 Yakuhai Dora Toy outs. Lots of potential upgrades there for the Shanten. Let's see. On our right, we have what could be another Toy. We'll decide. We'll see how Jake wants to play this. Yep, looks like he's going for it. Has the 8-pin palm with the 5-pin pair. This is definitely a tough Toy to get, I have to say.
Yeah, lots of middle tiles.
But holding to? No, there we
You
go.
just go Tanya even.
Yeah. It's a bit tough though. It is Dora acceptance. Yep, okay, that's what they're gonna go for. Sees that they're Ishanten for the Tanyao and are also in first place, but with people creeping up on them. So this maybe just decides to take the faster route.
You
Honestly,
also have Logan with calling the East, right? So somebody else is pushing the hand.
And not only is Logan called the East, but the tile that's gonna come out of his hand when he gets Tenpai, is gonna be that 4-pin. So that's gonna give Jake that Tenpai once he palms the 4-pin. unless we get a very quick connection. All right. That is going to be the Haku pawn going to be forcing the Dora acceptance around that the 4-6-6-8 mon shape. Goes back a Shanten to do it, but definitely I definitely feel the desire to greed here. That is going to be Tempai.
Home.
There's the call.
Yeah, there's the palm. Yeah. Now not Chris. Logan's hand is Tempai just for East. But can potentially add a Chun to it, and even a Honitsu in some worlds if he is. I would definitely be willing to pull Machun here if I am Logan, or just Sumo. That works too. I would definitely be willing to pull Machun there, shift to a Tanki, and then try to shift said Tanki into a Honitsu, just because
Yeah.
it's so much more value.
See, so for Jake,
Not the most exciting deal in our hand for sure. The Sun Ninja
I mean, I guess there could be Itsu possibilities, but
well.
even for a 1-3 and a
At the same time, this is now all of a sudden Ishanten.
yeah, it is.
It's wild how one bad shape fill can change the entire perspective of it. On the other hand, there is not a single 7-0 on the wall. But yeah, maybe you greed around the Manzu because it's such a wide acceptance shape that you even just cut the pinch on.
Although with that pair of 5s as it stands, that 2-mon discard's might bite him back later.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's also Ishanten on our right already for Chris. For just Nomi, but guaranteed a Ryanman and has easy ways to upgrade it to Pinfu by drawing around
There's
the
2-mon back if they decide they want to ditch the 8-9. Instead,
all right, Richinomi 6-9mon. 2-cut 9mon, but honestly, that just makes me feel good about how available it is. And we might even see the 9mon come out Ipatsu. Yep.
Don't.
Breaks the Ipatsu.
Ipatsu the call, but yeah.
Yep. No Ura, never Ura.
But unless you're Amy.
Yeah, there are certain people that Uranodora is reserved for, and if you're not one of them, good luck.
But I mean, at this point, they're not looking for much because with with 3 people really close to each other, I mean, yeah, you want to get some separation, but just being ahead of everybody matters.
Yeah, not only does he take first place there, but he also skips Jake's deal. And Jake also was the only one positive last game, so it might be a little bit of just let's give me my points back, but also just a big deal of he's your direct competition for first place right now. Anything you can do to limit his point getting ability is very, very good.
Now Chris does have the 2 Chun and can't call that. The rest of the hand looks a little bit meh. So even if they get if they confirm the Yakuhai, it still feels kind of slow going for them.
Yeah. This is one of those hands where I might I'm probably willing to pull Machun, but I want to hold that east back or the north or something just to have a safe tile, and I'll just cut one of the bad blocks. And if it backfires, so be it. It's so unlikely to backfire that I'm willing to just cut my acceptance a little bit. But I also don't want to just give up my deal without a fight. We have an Ishanten to our left. Jake wants his points back. He wants his lead back. Actually, no, cuts the Kanchan. Maybe looking to just guarantee that his final shape is better.
Meanwhile, Chris ended up getting the door and the 5-pin to go along with it, so
and now
hand is slowly starting to look better, but will there be enough time?
Slowly but surely, yeah, but already on turn 7, already with a player open. Across the way, we actually have a very nice looking Ishanten kind of escaped my grasp.
It's another door now for Chris.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. He's gonna be looking to pull the Chun and just see if we'll see what he can get.
Ooh, I think I'd actually be annoyed if I drew my 5th pair at this point.
Yeah, it's one of those things just really, is this really gonna be Chitoi? Alright. Meanwhile, Jake to our left is now Ishanten with very nice floating time. Let's just sort of find that Tempai. Could see Furryten if he draws the 3-mon.
Each.
That's the best draw to Tempai actually if you're Scott. Now it gets Ricci, Tanya, Pinfu. No Sanchoku unfortunately, but the Sozu all look very, very live. Jake decides that he doesn't really have anything better, and everyone's really just all right, I'm gonna push. Which is like, on the one hand, you're kind of happy about it if people are pushing into Yorichi. On the other hand, it's like, what do you have? And also, why am
Well, I
I
mean,
not?
you have to
Why
be
can't I
even more
wrong you?
concerned because there's no you don't have Dora, and so
Yeah,
you're wondering, are you pushing with Dora because I don't see any.
yeah. Tanya Pinfu definitely justifiable for sure, even without Thor. I'm just like, all right, one, what do you have? Two, why can't I roam these very live tiles that are coming out? The 2/5 Monway, yep. Oh, that is Tempai. That is Tempai for Jake. If he is willing to push the 6-0, which he was already willing to push the 9-0, but no. Decides that discretion is the better part of valor at this point. Wants to protect his over 30k status.
And again, he can't see Dora either. So for all
Yes.
he knows, if he pays into an 8,000 point hand, not only is he now not in touch really with first and second, fourth place is now that much closer to them.
Yeah. But as we enter into the third row, we do see 3 tiles still on the wall. So it's not super unlikely that this still becomes a sumo. But I mean, we've all seen plenty of Mahjong. Oh, there it
That
is. Yeah.
Haku, the tune finally comes to.
Yeah, the Chun was still alive this whole time. Are we
Yeah,
gonna see Uro? Uro here would be massive, and it just doesn't
not
come in.
there.
Unfortunate. I mean, that was as good of a chance you can, almost as good a chance as you can get on Uro. I think there was one overlap besides the pair, which I think equates out to like a 1/3 of the time, give or take. Like tiles on the board notwithstanding, because no one's willing to do that math because it changes so frequently. The only Uro math I'll ever do for myself is I'll count my outs to Uro 3. You know. So just to check in, it's like, all right, I have an Anko of 8-pin. How many 7-pin do I see? 0? Cool. Let's go.
Maybe that's how Amy gets her guaranteed one Uradora every Ricci winning hand.
Well, I haven't actually been able to see any of her games. Has that continued?
Well, she finished the season. She finished last season averaging one Uradora per Ricci.
Yeah. I haven't been able to catch any of the games that she's played this season. Also, we have 5 tiles to Sandoko. Come on, Logan. You got this. Draw 8s. They're totally not held in use in shapes. Oh, very, very quick Ricci. Oh, wow. That is.
Ricci,
Oh, that's an unbelievable. Oh, my God. That's an unbelievable hand.
Sanchoku, Ipeiko, Dora 1.
Ricci, Sanshoku, Ipeko, Dora 1. So on Sumo, it's going to be a Hanuman. I'm also with Ipatsu or Uradora. And there's 2 in the wall. 3-pin. Good tile, I'm telling you. That poor Mondragon Senpai is absolutely nuts.
Here, though, Pinzu is expensive. You know, are we going to see it come out from anybody? That's the thing.
Yeah, but this table thus far has been quite happy to push hands. And honestly, there's so little information that pushing is sometimes just the best thing you got. Plus
Yeah.
plus 2 other players have Dora, and that Dora is like actively being used in a shape. I think the one of the most dangerous is Logan. Logan has absolutely no way of using a 3-pin. Especially if he decides to push this 1-pin, I think that 3-pin's almost inevitably coming out. Though he does decide to play it a little bit safe. Plays the 1-so first. Oh, that's going to be a chase. That's actually really not what you want to see. It is just Ricci Nomi, but it is a significantly better weight. Though, actually, if we check the wall real fast, we have... Oh, okay. Well, there's one. Oh, come on! Oh, so brutal. Sometimes the game just hates you, Scott. There's really nothing you can do about it.
Thankfully, no Uradora doesn't make that any worse, but
yeah, that propels Chris back into a very comfy first place and puts Scott really
Scott
just,
in a deeper hole to dig himself out of. And the starting hand isn't terrible, but we'll need a little help.
Yeah, if you can fill in 3-so or 4-mon, hand looks very playable. Really would like to find a 9-pin Dora into a shape, but it's just not the easiest thing in the world to do. But you really don't have a choice because, I mean, what are you gonna do? Lose more?
Only saving grace is that everybody else's hand is relatively slow. They've still got some honors that they have to discard, so there's at least a couple of turns that they have.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, like, it hasn't been brought up a whole lot with regards to B3, but with the way that it's currently formatted, like more so than other divisions, you really need to be one of the people that's high rolling to be the ones that promote. So you can say yes, it's early in the season, blah blah blah, but like mitigating losses really isn't like good enough. in this division, just due to its size and the lack of promotion slots relative to its size.
Yeah, we're starting to stabilize now in terms of promotion. So the free passes to go up are certainly drying up at this point. So now it is going to be much more of a slog.
Yeah, so like games like this, you really need to fight for every point you can, rather than just saying like, okay, like I'll minimize my fourth and just see what happens. Oh, that's 4 pairs, 5 pairs, 5 pairs.
Yeah, that's Ishan 10 for Chitoy.
I think this is one of those cheat toys you have to take. Yeah, I do like it. Unfortunate that you're not able to add Tanyao, but you are able to add a Dora Tanki. It is technically drawable and sumoable. But
Yeah, and I like the tossing back of the 6-pin there if that's where you're gonna go.
yeah,
because-
I think the unfortunate bit is that Tuso is the likely to end up being the weight, and Tuso is fully held. Oh,
Well,
Anko, we could actually ship this to Tanyao. You can play one so here. Okay, hedges. That's keeps his eyes on the potential San Anko as well, especially because you can force Orichi a lot of the time here,
yeah.
which would be really good for most weights if you end up waiting on the one so. Oh, there's gonna
The
be a
only
Paul.
sad draw that they would have is if they somehow drew the 3-so.
Yes.
And then you're kind of like, okay.
Oh, there's the Tenpai. Waiting on 5 so. It did just come out. It's not the greatest
Yeesh.
weight in the world. Oh, but it is gonna be the Richi. Alright, it did just come out. There is one in the wall. We'll see what happens here. So Chris across the way is Tenpai. However, no Yaku. On the 1-mon trying to go for a Chini too. It looks like he's just gonna force it. One thing to note, he did play the aggressive 3-so instead of the safe 2-so first. Sometimes you are gonna get punished there. You could definitely just save yourself some Ipatsu points sometimes by playing the 2-so first. It's one of those things where, like, you get it in your head. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to cut from the inside out when I'm like playing tiles that I'm not supposed to use. You know, like you cut 3-so and then like 1-so or something from those.
And now that's a minor backfire for Scott because they would have drawn their second Anko with the 6-so.
Yeah, I'd rather be Tenpai right now than Ishan 10, and that might come out. That 5-so is I think is definitely the next tile on the chopping block if Chris decides to push this hand. He is. Oh, that's okay.
the 4 pins first.
Okay. Nakasuchi. Yep. But if this Chinitsu Tenpai comes to fruition, it might.
Yeah,
be...
it's coming out for sure.
Oh, and the 4-mon definitely makes it look juicy. 3-mon, that's gonna be a palm waiting on Genbutsu.
Yeah, if you're calling this, you're toast.
Chi.
I think he's
Yeah,
I think he's just deciding what Tenpai he wants.
Don't.
Yep. Okay. Decided to take the Shabo Tenpai instead of the other pawn for the 3-4. No Ura, of course. Never Ura. 12k would have been absolutely massive if he could have
Yeah,
gotten that.
it would.
But, you know, you take winning your Cheeto as dealer, given how poorly that hand started. This hand, on the other hand, much nicer looking. 2 completed shapes, an extended shape, and a pair. Good floaters. Very nice to look at.
Yeah.
To our right, also a really nice hand, with a Dora, potential Tanyao, outside shot of the 3-4-5 or 2-3-4 Sanshoku. Really good draw to pair the 2-mon up there, and now all of a sudden Chris is sweating a little bit. His first place is not as secure as it was, but I mean, you know, you get Chinitsu Tenpai, you kind of you take it. As again takes, and that's his 4th pair as well. This one could be a Tanyao Chitoi waiting on Dora. Would be a Tanyao Chitoi Dora 2. Would be a Hanemon on Richi, or Sumo with a potential Baiamon. Ooh, that is a good draw as well if you want to play this hand normally. Oh, this throws out the Dora. Has no interest. Just wants to play efficiently and maybe prevent other people from having the value to catch up with him. And then on the left, potential for a 1-2-3 Sanshoku, but the shapes need a lot of help. Oh, Chitoi Ishanten. Oh, fantastic draw. Ishanten here as well. Lots of Ishanten. The hand on the right for
Yeet.
Jake is really just
There's your
not
Tenpai.
Tenpai. What are you gonna wait on? Hapsuji 6-pin? So personally, like just the proximity.
If you're gonna
honestly.
wait on the 7-mon, you should have just kept the Dora.
Yeah, I think he didn't. I think he wasn't planning on going Chitoi with the hand. I think it just happened to be that.
Oh,
my
never
God.
mind.
Well, clearly, you two can know, and he clearly knows. That is gonna be a Hanemon at least. No Ura for Baimon, but Scott's reward for winning his Chitoi is paying back all of the points with a homo.
Is giving it all back with interest.
Yep.
Gee.
Luckily, it was paid back quickly, so the interest was only 300 points.
Boom.
Oh god, that's so brutal. But now this is a game where if you are Logan across the way, you just want to hold your positive, but you also really want to get second place. This is actually a pretty good hand for it. It's already Ishanten. Could be Richipin Fudora if he can draw Vidora. And Logan, or not Logan, sorry, Jake with a deal doesn't really have a. Is he Shanten? Not a ton of value, but you kind of just have to take what you can get.
Yeah, just play
Really
for
like,
hand. Yeah.
yeah. Now that's a fourth pair for Scott. We'll see if it happens again. Yeah, I was like, I was
For
literally
me,
thinking,
for me, I'll discard the 6/8. So yeah.
yeah, I like it. Shift towards the potential Honey too.
Well, not just that, but like everybody else is discarding. You're seeing more Pinzu discarded, and so if my hand's not going to incorporate Dora anyways, then I just want to get rid of Sozu and maybe wait on stuff that people are tossing out.
Nico draw. But could potentially yeah, looks like he's gonna greed this hand to try to play it Onko based. Okay. Ishanten still. Oh, that's a great draw. Play the 7-mon. Keeps the potential. So now 4-so and 6-so both give a Yaku, or give a Han for Logan, which would be all that he needs to have enough points to overtake. Okay, looks like we might be playing this for a Toy with a potential San Anko. Maybe trying to get some cons in there as well if you are Scott. Just increase any amount of points on the table. It's realistically like you're just trying to get as many points as possible out of this bad situation. Oh, the double self gets palmed. Dora acceptance there, but the shapes are not fantastic for Curtis. Okay, now potential palm 10 as well for Logan. Could even ship this to a toy in some really interesting worlds. Oh, that's gonna be Tanya.
Not Tanya, yeah.
Yeah, so now Logan definitely has everything he needs for this hand to be enough to get him into second place. No matter how he wins it. Now it's just a matter of, can he get Tenpai? Actually, no, I lied. He can't open. That is the one thing. Oh, he plays the 7-so back. Maybe feeling a little bit sussed out by it.
Boom.
Oh, there's gonna be the palm. Still not quite Tenpai. Oh, surely that's the
Chi.
Chi, right? Yeah, and I think most players here, yeah, and I agree. You play the 2-pin
Con.
because the West is just a tile that you expect to get. Oh, C con button, hit con button. Uh, Cons himself a Dora and then immediately throws it. Looking to just hold on, but honestly, quite a solid Ishanten, and that is going to be the cheated Tenpai, I assume.
Chi.
Yep. Oh, and that's 7-mon. Oh,
Boom.
Oh God.
7-mon that he held back is actually going to be what knocks him below 30K.
Uh,
Of course, right as you get Tenpai, they got Tenpai first. But yeah, looks like that is going to be the end of that game. Chris takes home a nice plus 37, gets him into positive. Jake adds a plus 8.6 that also adds to the positive that he built with his first place from this session. Unfortunately for Scott and Logan, for Logan not to get where you wanted that game to end. Really had a nice hand there. And for Scott, just really just could not catch a break.
no breaks at all.
Yeah. All right. It looks like we had one game that just started over in B1. I believe that is going to be the last game for them, unless they're playing all 4 in one go. I am not the one with access to the channel, so I cannot tell
I
you.
don't believe that. I believe that they're just playing 2 today as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. And it looks like there is one more game in B1 that is just started. If we want to shift over there, honestly, I can go either way.
Yeah, if we want to cover B13, then
Okay, yeah, let's shift over there for one more game. I'm going to stand up against some water while we do that, because they just started, so we've got to believe. Actually, no, I think the game is going in right now.
yeah,
If you wanna
we'll be live in about less than a minute, I think. But if you still want to go grab your water, go ahead.
Yep, I'm gonna go grab water, Edwin. If you could carry me for a few minutes, all right,
Yeah,
I
no
will be
problem.
right back.
So yeah, much as the title says, we're kind of spanning the leagues. covering games from all across the spectrum. Finishing up here with the B1 division, which is the division that I'm in. Managed to squeak my way into B1 from last season. But as I mentioned before, or has been mentioned before, when it comes to promotions and demotions, it's not like some of the prior seasons where you've seen like 10 or 10 promotions or something like that. We're only looking at 7 here. There probably won't be as many more unless people don't come back from hiatus. So, looking around the table here, I know the names still have to get updated on the display there, but starting dealer is Travis, fake GG. I believe it's Andrew F as Octavia. I'm trying to remember who the person across is. I need to pull that up. That would be that's Josh, right? In New York. And then finally on the right is Pio, also. So looks like Josh sumo's a 2 on hand for 2,000 points and has the early lead going into East 2. Andrew's hand looks a bit slow. Oh, there you are.
Yep, cool. We are back. We have water. We are quenched.
You are hydrated.
Yep. All right. I came in time to, I think, hear you finishing the introductions.
Yep. And we are in East 2 now with Andrew / Octavia as dealer. And they're currently on the right as it stands, so I'll need to move that display over a bit. Their hand is a bit slow. Josh has a hand that can call the Hatsus and just take another 1,000 points or so off the table. Pio could have some Itsu chances, but will still need some help. That 4-pin certainly helps.
Yeah, and it looks like Josh just took a 4th in that previous game, so it might be in the mindset where he's just trying to take some quick hands and just get out. Maybe just run away with a positive score. It's definitely I definitely have felt myself speeding up in the past when I'm on losing, whether it be for good or for bad.
Yeah, I don't. Usually, if I have issues with speeding up or slowing down, it's just based upon the tempo at the table. If I get the sense that people are calling for hands, I can't really sit as still as I'd like to with a closed hand and try to outdraw them.
Yeah, looking through the hands, there were only out of the 14 they played, there were only 4 Richi's won. So definitely might be looking at like an open favoring table. Which we see a little bit in the stats as well, reflected that Pio and Andrew both sitting around the 45-46% call rate.
While Josh and Travis are actually sitting on kind of on the opposite side with only about a 31% call rate.
Yeah, I want to say like mid 30s is where my call rate is as well. I definitely prefer to play a little bit more of a closed style when I can, but I just don't always find the opportunity to. This hand for Travis, for example, would definitely be a fast track to opening for me with Tudora and potential Tanyo. So those pawns.
Well, and now Andrew's hand is actually, as we've been kind of talking through all that stuff, has actually gotten much better.
Yeah, it's progressed really nicely. Unfortunately, it looks like there's a slight back. Could have missed the potentially Peiko on that 6-0 cut. I don't know what the hand looked like at the time because I was just kind of like looking all around. But is it a nicey Shanten? That is a fantastic draw as well. Now can potentially get Sanchoku, can potentially get Tanyao, or not Tanyao, Pinfu. It's definitely getting Pinfu, but potentially.
I don't know if
Dora.
I don't know. I mean, you'd think it's maybe a minor thing with regarding discarding either the 8-mon or the 2-pin pair, but if you're looking for safety, I would have rather discarded the 8-mon, and not only that, at least you're discarding more Monzu if your weight happens to end up being the 3/6 Mon, because it's your discard pile is looking rather empty in that suit.
Yep, I don't disagree. The 8-mon definitely being cut by both Travis and by Josh definitely makes you feel like the 8-mon was definitely a little bit safer in terms of
Yeet.
potential Dama avoidance. Well, that's going to be Chitoi Tenpai waiting on 9, so there are 2 of them. I can't imagine Pio will be jamming this Dora Ipatsu into Andrew's Sanshoku Tanya Dora 2. Or, sorry, Tanya Sanshoku Dora 1. Could also just win Tanya Nomi for Andrew waiting on 3-6. Surely the south gets pushed. Yeah, okay. So it's Richie Chitoi versus 360. Oh, that is
Yeah,
gonna
Pio,
be the
Pio was Tenpai on the 5-8 mon.
yeah, Somagiri Richie. The classic wait one
Oh, there's
turn.
the 3.
And all it really does is bait the 3-mon out. So
Yeah.
so Andrew collects an extra 1,000 points for his trouble, or extra 2,000 points actually for his trouble by waiting a little bit to win. And we move on.
3 pairs.
Yep. 3 pairs, all in Sozu. Honestly, the hand is so meh that I kind of just want to throw like this 2-pin back or like the 2-mon and just like see if I can make some magic happen with Sozu. This is one of those hands where I really want to like bluff the table, you know, like pull the 1-so and be like, ha, all right, deal with me.
Yeah, I actually would have considered dropping out that 2-pin as well because
Yeah. It's like it's not that I think that pawning the 1-so is a good move here, but it's more of just like my hand is so bad and like and is so like devoid of any opportunity to do anything that I kind of want to abuse the fact that I'm dealer and just like scare the table by pawning the 1-so.
yeah, no, and that's certainly a valid strategy. No, that's 4 pairs now, but that's certainly a valid strategy. It's something that I've seen employed and I've tried to employ myself where I've intentionally showed something that I don't have, but they don't know that, and so it can easily I try to do it to slow them down. So that's 5 pairs, so that I can actually try to build my hand because it is going to take a while for me to get to where I need to go.
Yeah. You have to have the read on the table though that they'll actually like respect it.
Sure.
That's the thing. Or you can just draw it yourself. You know?
Okay, that Anko gets a little bit uncomfortable, but if you ever need to start calling it, this isn't the worst in the world because of the
Honestly,
fact that,
yeah. I don't disagree. This is a very reasonable choice.
Formon is going to be a little bit more difficult, but at least you have some other things you can call if you wanted to.
Yeah, if you get
Okay.
there's the Chitoi. Okay, I think it's a Dama for a little bit. Okay, no, we're just gonna jam.
Okay,
Honestly, like
that's
it's 7-mon, so like we know it's getting Ipatsu mode based on last game
Ah!
because you know machine learning.
Oh, see, this is why you drop the 7-mon is because you hedge because the 7-mon's not a great Chitoi weight anyways. Maybe you're lucky and you draw another Anko, which you would have.
Yeah, but like I mean, what does the second Anko do for you? Like really, you're still like you're like you're
You
Suanko
start making like
Ishansen.
the count, and you go one Anko, eventually you get to three,
Okay.
three Anko. See,
Okay.
one Anko, two Anko,
Definitely quite sad.
uh,
But you know, maybe 5-mon was the pair they would have chosen to cut because they would have had to choose one pair to cut.
Boom.
Oh, there's a pawn. Definitely very Toitsuba hand. Oh, that's Dora 3. I didn't really notice. That is Tanya Toitsui Dora 3 Ishanten on our left. Oh, there's the last Anko. Oh, it's Suji now. You're late, Suji. Something. Pio also has a very safe potential route to Tanya. Pio also has a very safe potential route to just a Tanya Dora 1. Can play only Genbutsu to get there. Oh, and that is better Ishanten for Pio. We will see whether or not what he can do there. I mean, surely you push everything here if you're Travis. Like you have Dora 3.
You have Dora 3.
You have Dora 3.
I mean, you're gonna delay the 8-pin maybe, but you're not.
Yes, I don't disagree. Okay, that is.
And the 8-pin's now safe to Joss's Ricci, so you definitely can discard it now, right?
Yeah,
At least
Tenpai for
you
Pio.
paid it, right?
Tenpai for Pio with the 6-0 is hella cursed, but at the same time, you see 3 of the 4-0, 2 of the 7-0. It's a little bit hard for it to deal into a Ryanmen. And Pio gets rewarded for pushing. Just Tanya Dora, but you know, you pick up an additional 2,300. Very happy camper to be Pio.
Meanwhile, Andrew's just kind of looking at his discard pile and crying.
Yeah, it's like it's so hard to decline Chitoi Tenpai there, but I'm definitely like of the camp where you throw the 1-so.
With the 7-mon though, it's just like you can wait. You can discard the 7-mon and just wait for a better weight.
Yeah, it's like I want to be Tenpai. I want to be Tenpai like forever, but like I personally would definitely just Damon try to get a better weight than the 7-mon, but I still want to keep the Tenpai for a little bit.
have easily rejected the Tenpai and be like, if I draw another Anko, then I just need to start choosing what pair I'm discarding. And yeah, I still could have chosen wrong and discarded the wrong pair, like because the correct pair would have been the 6-pin, but at least at that point you at least said you were going to go for it, and you just made the wrong decision for the pair.
Yeah.
Discard.
Yeah. I mean, it happens. It's Mahjong.
All right, East 3.
Very nice hand here for Josh. No huge point swings just yet. Definitely the potential for big point swings, but the hands
Also Tenpai for Ishan 10 for Chitoi.
Yep. God, we can't keep doing this. Come on. Just please play. Like, draw a 7-mon. Please, draw a 7-mon. Draw a
The
7-mon.
Mahjong gods say no. Told you!
Honestly, okay. Chooses not to wait on the door indicator. With the early 7-mon.
Chooses not to declare Ricci either.
Yes. I like the wait here. Just don't really want to wait near the Dora, don't really want to wait on a 4-pin, so let's just play it calm. Across the way, we also have a very nice cheese. I hate everything, man.
I just can't. Oh
So,
my god!
Josh, here, you have to, just reaffirm to yourself, you always Dama this to try to get a better weight. The fact that you want to be constant mode is notwithstanding. You have to just be firm in your resolve that is a Dama until you get a better weight, and you have to do Ipatsumo, which happens. Oh, Mahjong is such a stupid game.
Mahjong Tanashi.
I hate Chitoi so much. It's such a fun hand, but I hate it so much.
The thing is, for me, it's like everybody knows for me as a person that gets it, but if you look at my statistics in the league, I'm not actually the guy that gets it.
Yeah. I wonder, I should go actually look at that at some point. What is my, I can actually, I can pull that up very easily while commentating. I'm gonna go do that. I want to see my Chitoi win rate relative to the rest of the league.
All right, you go do that. I'll see what's going on here. PO's called us south, trying to end some of this nonsense and maybe retake the lead. Does have a Dora in hand. Could theoretically go for a Honitsu if they start drawing more Monzu, but I'm pretty sure we'll just take the 2000 if they get it. Josh has... Well, that 6-pin certainly helps. Does discard the 8. Could still incorporate the 2 Mondora, but it would be kind of awkward for the rest of the hand if they did. Andrew has the pair of E, so could call for the Yakuhai, but wouldn't have much else to go along with that. But again, with the score so close, I think you just take that 1,000-point win. And Travis apparently is gonna go push for the Kokushi here.
I have returned from my my endeavor, but I was not able. My spreadsheet was slow and loading, so I was just whatever. We'll do it later on someone else's time, or on not someone else's time.
Yeah.
Also, I heard the word Kokushi, which is
Yeah, Travis is trying to go for it across the way.
Yeah, I can see it. It's no. That's Senpai. It's a very bad Senpai, but it's Senpai.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's Josh could incorporate the Dora with the Tumon there and did, but the Tenpai that you're going to result, the rest of the hand's going to become awkward as so.
Yeah, but it's very easy to upgrade Senpai.
Yeah.
You draw any Sozu, and you're pretty okay. Even one So's not the one So is pretty bad, but if 2 So wasn't
say any, you'd be
yeah. 1 So is actually a Tenpai that I would take here with the 5 So Richi if 2 So wasn't too cut. The fact that 2 So is
the 5 So would technically be awkward, or the 3.
Right? Yeah. No. Oh no, because you just split 4 So.
Yeah,
you split 4 So, and then you have Penpu with potentially Peiko.
It would just be the 1 and the 9 that would be awkward, right?
Yeah, but even then, I'm happily reaching the 8 So. Actually, the 9 So is not good because the 8 So is dead. This is maybe not as good of an Ishanten as I thought.
Okay, there we go.
That is the God Draw. That is a 2, 3, 5, 8 So wait.
Question is anybody dropping Sozu to that discard pile?
Theo probably is. He's got his Ishanten for a Mangan. He might hedge and play the north first, but that one so would definitely come out. Yeah. Ugh. My body is also feeling that I skipped dinner because I was too busy doing things. AKA I was laddering before the cast because I wanted to play Mahjong. There's the sumo. Yeah, shockingly, when you have a four-sided weight, sumo is something that happens. No Uro, so just 420, 26 all, but definitely a nice break open.
And puts people below 30,000.
Yeah, and a great starting hand here as well. Fantastic floating tiles, a pair and two completed shapes.
And
Not
the Dora should get another hot.
Yeah, not a ton of value, but yeah, the potential for that Dora draw is definitely there. Pio on our right actually has a really nice looking hand. Ryan Shanten, but could be Sanchoku very easily.
Oh yikes! Yeah.
Now the question is, and I know the answer because I know Pio. If you draw the if you drew an Anko there, like say if you draw 8-pin or 7-so, he's absolutely gonna cut 5-6 pin.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's an interesting draw. Yeah, I like the hedge. Because 2-3-4 Sanchoku is definitely possible. Also, leaves potential Itsu outs by playing 8-pin first. Across the way, we have interesting draw. Not the most useful draw, but interesting draw.
Not really useful though.
Yeah, especially with the 8-so already played. Let's see. Across the way, definitely not the greatest hand. No Dora as well to speak of. And then to our left, we actually have a really nice Ryan Shanten. Yeah, Ryan Shanten. The Dora's floating around a little bit, just kind of being a hassle. Now that it's been cut once, we'll see. Okay, no, decides to keep the floating 4-pin. I would have liked to see the 6-mon kept just because like when you have a Manzu shape, like just a single extra tile means you have a really
yeah. And the thing is like one door is out already. I mean, at this point, you're almost committing to have it in your hand.
Yeah. It's like there's where you backfire on stuff like that because now that would have been a 2-3-4 and then a 4-5-6 and a 6-7 in the Manzu shape, but instead you just have a floating 4-pin and a floating Dora. It's by having when you have that many
now increasingly like you're gonna have to stick with it.
Yeah. So I think you can definitely still get away with cutting it. Doesn't even take the potential Itsu shifts. Yeah, so I think he's just committed to holding it, which is fine. That is Ishanten for Travis. Yeah, meanwhile, the dealer's hand has also just been kind of chilling. It is Ishanten. It's a very nice Ishanten. It has not really gone anywhere.
Like the two.
There is the Tempai.
Okay, now we can take it that
probably the third best Tempai if I had to pause it. I think you best draw is probably 4-pin for the shot at Ipeko, but the best draw in Manzu is 2-mon, just because the 1-4-mon is a slightly better weight. But beggars can't be choosers, and Tempai is Tempai.
This should get the Haku out at this point.
Yeah, the Haku being Gembutsu here is actually really helpful. Nope, just plays the 8-mon. Okay, maybe deciding. Okay, well the Haku still actually has a very natural path to chase this. Now you play the Haku, maybe? Yeah, there it goes. But this is honestly a very pushable hand if you're Andrew as well. Just depending on which Tempai you get and what you feel comfortable pushing. Because with the 9-pin Anko coming out, the 6-pin is Nakasuji. Oh, and that's definitely a pushable Tempai.
Each.
Nakasuji to the granted it is the reach tile, but surely you would expect I don't know. It's hard to say.
It is.
That 6-pin is dealing
it wouldn't be it's not the worst tile to discard in that suit, right?
Yeah. The 6-pin is dealing in very infrequently there. So we have a 4-7 weights versus a 2-5-mon weights. I haven't really counted the amount of tiles left, so I'm just going to be a spectator. If the yellow tile shows up in someone's hand, we will see what happens. But yeah, just very natural fold decisions for both Theo and Travis. Maybe not the easiest fold in the world to 2 Richis, but both of them managed to successfully do so. Pio has the ability to call the Tempai, actually. How willing is he willing to push the 9-so
G.
for no Yaku? Yep, willing to do so. Have
Well,
to
it
match
makes
the 9-so,
Travis with the
yep.
last draw, which is
Yeah.
okay with him.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
he loses 1,000, but
yeah, and that's actually like for PO that's a big deal because that's a net 2,500 point swing.
Yep.
It goes from minus 1,500 to plus 1,000. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna mute myself real fast as I take off my hoodie because my room has gotten very hot.
all right. So Josh has got the pair of these, so can easily call just to continue dealership. The rest of the hand doesn't look too terrible, so they can probably just take their not only take the 1,500, but the extra 2,900 that's actually in the center. So Travis, meanwhile, is going to go push for the Honitsu with that one of the 1-so. We'll see how many people are going to continue to discard that into it, or if he's going to be able to draw the Sozu he needs. Unfortunately, actually, for Josh, his Easts are Mochi Mochi with Andrew, which will actually now make it a little bit harder, although this is starting to look a little bit more on the Chanta side, so maybe Josh doesn't need that East after all. Pio has some decent shapes, but still has some terminals to discard. Does have the West Dora, but we're gonna see how they can incorporate that in there. And with Andrew being on the Mochi Mochi side with the East, the 6-pin makes it awkward. You may have considered maybe for a Honitsu, although you still have those 3 floating honors, so maybe you're just going to try to go for, again, whatever hand you can get, because there's 2,900 points in the middle.
Yeah, the 2,900 points in those is really what everyone should have their eye on. It's really and if you're Josh and Andrew, you open this hand quite happy with the East pair, so you can call for that. And then,
See, the thing is with Josh, that 4-so is unfortunate, but I don't know if he's really better off discarding that 9-pin, because now you're dependent upon calling the East, whereas if you tried to continue going for like a Chanta, for instance, at least you could call elsewhere.
yeah, I think it's really hard to turn down the Yishanten there. Like
I think the only other reason is just because you don't necessarily want to discard Sozu to the guy across from you, but I mean, you're doing it now anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think you just kind of have to take the Yishanten as dealer. Because if you do get to palm the East, then you want you'd rather have the 4-so 2-pin Shanpon. Oh, that's an interesting draw, though it doesn't actually help. Because, well, it is safer now into Piero's Ricci, but the 1-pin being dead.
You could have theoretically gone for it still, because if you discarded 3-4, you still could have entertained a Chanta, but
What is this Ricci for PO, by the way? It's just Ricci Pinfu, winning 5-8 mon. Nice and simple.
I mean,
very live. Very, very available.
It's live, but I mean, like, again, does it really matter how much your value your hand is if you're gonna pick up another 2,900? There's the 8.
There it is. Yeah, pushes the Shantan with Fedora, and very justifiable with the amount of points in the middle. You know, you see 3,900 points in the middle. You're willing to push a Tyler too for your Shantan, just because like that amount of Rishi 6 in the middle skews the EV tremendously. Which, so I think that's a very justified push and just a unfortunate result.
And again, that goes back to me saying, like, for Josh, it's like, I understand that you just call the East, you've got your Yakuhai, but I mean, you're dependent upon calling the East, and if you're trying to go for a quick hand, I know Chanda's not necessarily the quickest thing, but it would have given you more options to call if you're trying to beat somebody else.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh god, I did not realize that I let myself. I just kind of came home from work and just went immediately into Mahjong playing and casting mode. So I forgot that I was wearing both a hoodie, a sweatshirt, and heat undershirt. Quite cool. So when I started sweating in my 60-degree room, I was like, oh, see,
something wrong here.
Yeah, we are good. We are doing good. We have ice water.
All right. So leadership here has a.
Yeah, it's blah. Josh on the left just filled in that 2-mon into a very nice shape, so it has a pretty good looking Ryan Shanten. Should end up being Pinfu, but if he draws an Anko, he won't decline it. Not a ton of value, but you know, you're in first place. You don't need value. I'd rather, honestly, like Dama, Pinfu, Nomi here, very, very happy.
Give second place certainly help for Pio.
Yep.
Gives them another workable block to use.
On the right, floating Dora, 1 complete shape and 2 pairs. Not the most.
Well, he's already discarded Dora, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, the turn 1 Dora might have cut it before checking the indicator. It does happen sometimes. I haven't followed the entire hand progression. He probably just drew it back after cutting it.
Oh,
Across the way, Itsui Shanta. Very nice, very shiny. Um, not the greatest tiles to have to fill in though. You have to fill in exactly 2 so 1 pin or 8 mon. Not the
and the
easiest
thing is,
task.
I think they're reticent of discarding that 7 pin because they thought maybe they could get work around the door, but with that
Yeah,
draw, you're gonna have to toss the
yeah.
7 now. Because
Now you have to. Yep,
yeah,
I agree. And you know what? But like the wider Ishan 10 very beneficial, though it is potentially furry 10. And not only that, the 9 mon is dead. So it doesn't actually help as much as it really looks. However, if you do ever draw the Tuso, the Rishi now looks quite good with the Shanpon weights on the Suji 1 pin.
yeah, I wouldn't necessarily fault.
Gee, no,
I wouldn't
okay.
necessarily fault like reaching on the 7, waiting for the Sean 1/8 because it's like
Yeah. Oh, now though, now it's hard because now the
now
1
it's
pin's
like,
dead.
yeah.
Oh, and there's the dealer Rishi. That's gonna be tough. So really, the only if Andrew gets Tempa here, the only thing that's gonna save him is the fact that he's probably gonna want Pinfu, even though the 9 mon's dead. He might just decide to
But
pull it
8
out.
is not good either.
Yeah, so he decides to just play around this. Starts with the 1 pin. This is Richinomi, but he is the dealer, which for Pio is good enough. And because honestly, like the more time, oh wow, fantastic draw. Because the more time you can spend as dealer, the better your chances at catching up with Josh. And
This could actually
Pio,
save Andrew.
oh my God, these draws.
Beach.
Oh, that's gonna
That's
bait
not
him.
going to save Andrew though.
Nope. Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Dum.
Okay. Yeah. Happens. Will there be an Urabomb? There will
No.
not. So 2,000 points keeps his 3rd place. Definitely not the other biggest punish. Definitely a hand that you want to take a shot on because I mean, yeah, it's Rishi Itsu. Very, very solid value. But yeah, this is definitely one of those games though, where like if you're Pio, you really need to convert this because even though it's early in the season, Pio definitely started off in an unfortunate situation, already minus 80, and I don't think
Interesting here that Pio does have the pair and the 5s, but I wouldn't necessarily be objective to the if he ends up having to wait on the Doratonki or just have the pair of
yeah,
Haku as long as you have a good Ryanman weight in the end.
yeah, but the Haku is already paired up over in Andrew's hands, so it's gonna be very tough for him to actually end up making that happen. I can definitely see him playing for that Poe, especially if he has neither of the pairs in his hand is currently actually like functioning as a pair. Both the 3 mon and the 5, so would much rather be in like Ryanman or run shapes.
Yep.
Shimsu, that's the word.
Oh,
But
especially yeah.
now with that draw, very very far away Chitoy, but with the way the stable's played out, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention it. Speaking of Chitoy, 4 pairs across the way. And
That's a great draw.
yeah, and a very, very nice Ishanten actually for Josh as well. Definitely, with it being Pio's deal, I would very much be looking to just call this for Tanya Nomi. I probably would not Chiv as 3 mon, but I'd definitely be looking to palm the 4, the 5 mon, or Chief the 4
Yikes.
still.
Home.
Yep,
Yeah, that's certainly being called.
Yep. So we'll see what Andrew decides to do here. He's gonna play the 6 pin, which is like the most efficient, but like maybe not the most efficient layer. Okay, that's.
I'd discard the 1/2 really.
Yeah, I think because he can.
I know that goes
because he has-
backwards, but
yeah, because he has so many calling
I'm more
outs. I think
likely
he
to
does
draw
want
around
go.
something more comfortable around a 6 for the 1/2.
Yeah, so I think because he already had 5 blocks regardless of the 1/2, he figured like might as well just hold on to it and just see.
Wait a minute, why aren't you discarding the? Oh, wait. No, there's still one North live.
Yeah, it's 1 cut. I mean, he just decided that he prefers the other shapes. Though unfortunately, the North.
I mean,
does
I
have the other
guess
cut
maybe
out.
if they're waiting on that 3 in the end because of the fact that it's Suji to the 6 that they discarded earlier, maybe they think they can trap somebody on that, but
Pio's weight is quite fun here, by the way. It's 5, 6, 7, 8 so. With 5 so being Tanyao Pinfui Peiko, or Pinfui Peiko, 8 so being Pinfu, and 6 and 7 so being nothing. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised this hasn't been reached. It's not like the greatest weight, given that yes, you're waiting on 4 tiles, but you do have 7 of them. Oh, actually, yes, you can Shi this to Tenpai. Yeah, so that is going to be Tenpai for Andrew now for Hakudora 3. Oh,
Yeah,
I think
waiting for
Pio's
Yeah, so I think Pio is thinking he can Dama this because the 8-so is in Andrew's discards. And naturally you want to play around the player with the open Dora 3. However, the unfortunate bit is that Travis has all of those 8-so and they don't seem to be going anywhere because he is nice looking, but actually quite far from Tenpai Honisu shape. Meanwhile, Josh has not drawn anything particularly dangerous, so he has been able to hold on to his tiny Nomi Tenpai, but that Forso is also quite difficult. There is one in the wall to find, though. Okay, that surely will be... Oh, no, just place the 4-pin. Decides... Oh, wow, he was the last one as soon as I bring it up.
Wow. Yeah,
Honestly,
I understand the waiting for the 3-pin. The thing that I've tried to get myself away from is just looking at that 1, 2, and thinking, all I need is that 3. All I need is 3. Just one more tile, and you're like, but there's very little on improving that 1, 2, right? Because the only way you can improve is by drawing the 4 and then by drawing the 5 if you don't get your 3.
Yeah, and actually we saw him there. He did draw the 4, but he chose to Sumagiri it because it's so late that he's unlikely to be able to actually...
Well, and he already discarded the 6 because if you draw the 5, now you're furry 10.
So, yeah, and Tadashing the 1 there would actually give out quite a bit of information as to what his weight is or where it's around.
It's just more that when he committed to that, there was really not much to backtrack from.
Yeah. Meanwhile, 4 pairs and a door across the way, and that 3-pin cut looks very much like a Chitoi commit. To our right, we are Ishanten, and it's a very good Ishanten.
I don't know if necessarily it's a Chitoi commit because you can still call stuff, especially with that 3-so draw. It's not the worst.
That's the draw. Okay, decides to take the Penchon. Takes the Dora Penchon. I don't know. I'm greedy. I would have Dora Taki. I would have Dora Taki this for sure because I'm greedy like that. So we'll see what ends up happening. It would have been 1 versus 1 in the wall either way.
And the thing is that like a 7 central tile anyways, and it's near the Dora indicator and the Dora then. I mean, are people really going to discard that naked 7 into that? I mean, you almost would just go ahead and take the Dora Tonki, right?
I mean, it just kind of depends on 1, what you think is more likely to win, and 2, like a 7-mon is definitely more justifiable to push and justifiably like pushed by in some cases. It really just kind of ends up depending. But there comes the Dora out from Travis. Maybe a little bit of regretty, but other happenings. Josh decided to palm that Haku because he had the pair of 8-so Genbutsu, which is a little bit aggressive for his situation here, where he is in a relatively comfortable first place. Honestly, it's an aggressive play, and I don't necessarily know whether or not I agree with it, but it's the play that he's choosing to make. Maybe he's feeling that he needs to get points, even though he's already in a nice first. He's having an extra 2 Genbutsu here would be very, very nice if you're Josh. But, that also, shifts the entire draw order, and we play a bunch of what-if games.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be able to, like, talk about... I mean, I talk about, like, what you should or shouldn't discard, but at the same time, I'm looking up there, and I'm like, if you're going to go for this hand, wouldn't you have discarded the 4-mon some time back? But I guess maybe you're just hoping that somebody else makes that safe for you later.
Because the hand can end up Tenpai if that 4-mon ever becomes safe, but that 4-mon is really the middle Manzu is very, very suspicious.
But the thing is that I mean, Travis had already.
There.
Ooh.
I guess it was long Suji, but 2-mon there was Tenpai. 7-mon.
Yeah. The other thing is that Travis made that you should have considered that if Travis just cutting the Dora into that and not being called for a win, like maybe you start considering how expensive is Andrew's hand. Yeah. And if that's the case, then you're more likely to discard that 4. Earlier.
Yeah, that's fair. But even still, like you're really 1 Uradora away from being kind of hit harder than you wanted to be. So I think he gave it the old college try, with the Haku pawn and the 8-so cut because he had a pair, just by himself some turns. If he drew perfectly, great. If not, well, he had plenty of tiles that he could play.
Which is fair. It is definitely fair.
Yep. Anyway, so we have shifted over to Andrew's deal. It is South he has. after that win, he has a nice like 8,000 point gap. Oh my gosh, Pio's already tenpai before I can even parse his hand, and it is a very nice tenpai.
9 so.
Riichi Pinfu, waiting 6-9 so. There are 5 tiles on the wall. Pretty good for turn 5. Let's see who can do something about this. Andrew's hand definitely looks like it's got chase down potential.
Yep.
Oh, that's a helpful draw to it as well. Okay, just throws it back.
I mean, would you
Gotta
if
dig
maybe
it.
you would toss the Hatsu instead? But
Ooh. Yeah, the Hatsu, there are certain people that are like more suspicious than others of live Yakuza. And I don't really know, honestly. Like, I probably personally would have played the Hatsu over the 8-pin, but just because, like, honestly, you have so little information and so few save tiles that the other option you really have is to play 6-pin and pray for Nakasuchi. But definitely you're getting more expensive. Oh, the Hatsu's the Dora. That's why. Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes more sense now.
well, then what's Andrew going to do with this then? I mean, he's dropping the 5 mons. So what's your
Cheat
endgame here?
That's probably cheat or fold. Just be happy with your 3rd place. Because he is currently the top overall participant at this individual table, even if he is at a small minus for the season. Okay, 2-mon comes out, that is Suji. I'm not really going too deep into folding things, because honestly, like, people make decisions so quickly. Oh, there's the Dora pair over there for Josh, Josh is Rian Shanten, so somewhat unlikely. If he does push, it's probably going to end up being cutting at 6. Oh, Tenpai. Not only that, Dama
Gee.
Tenpai. Oh, is that going to deal in? No. Place the
Yeah.
top one.
Gee.
Okay, so Oh wow! And now the Dora becomes safe.
Wow. So Andrew actually gets
Wait.
us out.
Oh my gosh! No. So Josh deals in no matter which Tenpai he takes. Oh,
Don't.
deals into the Dama Pinfu, which is definitely the better option for Josh. A little bit sad
Right.
for Pio, though. Pio definitely.
Yeah, you were right. As soon as you said that, it's like, oh wait, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. All right. All of those styles deal in. Definitely the better option for Josh there. If you're gonna deal into the Dama Pinfu Nomi rather than the 2nd place Riichi who would have been hitting you for Riichi Pinfu Tanya.
I know there was a game I was playing the other day, just a little slightly off topic, where one person had declared Riichi. I was Damaten Tenpai. Another person deals in, and not only did I win, but the other person, the 4th person, was also Damaten on the same weight I was.
Oh boy.
So they were like, "We'll discard this tile as safe for the Riichi," and suddenly they get double run. Now the double run was only for about 4,000 points total, so it was worth nothing. But that was probably a shock to see, like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's slightly better than my 28,000 point double round that I dealt into in friendly play. Oh, while we are reminiscing, we have another Tenpai.
Travis.
This table has no quit, but we have
Force
another Riichi. Yep, Riichi Pinfudora. Just barely missed Sanshoku. Unfortunate. But, Riichi Pinfudora, if he can get an Uro, it'll get him out of last. Also, I believe, Sumo will get him out of last as well. Let's see, how many tiles? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 3 tiles, which is in the wall, which is quite sad for a Riichi this early. However, Pio has palmed the double south and is Tenpai. And only had to risk random Yakuhai to do it.
And the other thing is that it's a 4-7 weight, right? And that's not exactly. I mean, even if you have a Ryamen weight, the 4-7 is not exactly the most ideal one to have.
Yeah, 4-7 is definitely my least favorite weight. But like when the game gives you Pinfudora, you take Pinfudora. Pio definitely pushing a little bit aggressively. The Pinzu like so far had looked relatively cheap, but I think Pio feels one that with double South Dora, he can put himself in a really good position to get 1st place in this game, and
Yeah,
two,
that's what-
that, like he has so little information that he might as well just push. And
Yeah,
wow,
that's
he
what I
might
feel.
actually catch this East out of Josh and just overtake 1st place. That would be massive. It's like this East is looking like it might be the next tile out of Josh's hand if he doesn't find a Genbutsu. He doesn't have any. Oh, the 5-pin Genbutsu. Yeah, that came out from Andrew. Yeah, Pio willing to. Oh, the 3-cell was even. It doesn't even look like Pio's really pushing. The only thing he's really done is push a 2-pin. Oh no, Pio, no. All right,
Can you
maybe
get out of this?
Maybe Himawashi.
No.
So brutal.
The only way you can successfully Mawashi though is discarding 5/6, right?
I mean, you can play
Maybe?
East. You can play East East.
Eh.
You can play East East and just try to get a run in the Pinzu or the Manzu. Maybe a Sunben Shun if you draw really well.
So
But-
Pio really can't just sit here because he can't be no 10.
sumo not
No 10 means he's
well.
below 30, so he's got to win this hand.
Yeah.
And
he sits here and
Josh
just
wants
plays.
to. Josh can shut the door here with the 2 norths.
Yep,
Gee.
that's definitely honestly not a bad result for Pio if that happens. And Josh recognizes that and quickly gonna go for the Adazuke. Honestly, there are 2 players at this table that really aren't that mad if Josh wins this. Though that does add 2 Dora as well, so this is not a hand that Pio wants him to sumo.
Yeah.
Though
But Josh
it's a
still
bit,
needs that north first. That's the thing.
yes, and it is a bit obvious what he is doing to the table when you call like that. Though you don't exactly know which Yakuhai it is. And Andrew across the way has one of all 3 of them.
I would be intrigued as to how Josh was able to turn this into a Chanta somehow.
Possible. Technically.
It's a stretch, but
I mean, it's like draw 9 pin, play 6 pin. All right, yeah. Pio senses the urgency and decides to race.
the possible stopper here could be that 7, so depending upon what Josh decides to do in the end there, but having
The
that
thing is,
6/8 is not ideal.
Yeah, I imagine if he pawns the north, it's going to be 8 so 9, so just to keep the Dora pair.
Keep a pair. How about that?
Well, yes, but also that 1 pair happens to be Dora, which is an additional incentive. Oh, well,
Never mind.
draw.
Just draw it yourself, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that 7 pin is definitely never coming out. However, 2 Mon looks like very cheable from Andrew. Now Pio has to find this Dora. Oh,
okay.
just draw Tempai, easy. Just fill in shapes back-to-back draws. All right, it is a 3-tile wait from Josh's perspective. If this gets sumo, Pio is going to be quite sad. If Pio deals in, he honestly isn't that much more sad than if he sumoed. Oh, is that going to be a palm? How greedy are you? Honestly, I might have done it. Just because, like, I don't think the 7-pin weight is that good. Like, I might have I might have done it. I might have done it. I don't think one way or the other is correct or incorrect.
You have to be concerned with that pause, right? Because if there's a pause on that 7 so discard, what is somebody calling with, and do they have more 7s?
Is that? No, that's not quite Senpai. It's a very good Ishanten for Andrew. Very, very good Ishanten. Oh, there's the sumo. Oh, that's so brutal. That's so brutal for Pio. Oh, and it's 40 Fu actually because of the Yonko and the Kanshan and the sumo adding up. But Pio does keep his 2nd place. It's a small minus. Josh adds a nice plus 37, gets himself out of the negatives. Andrew takes a middling 3rd, and Travis takes a small 4th. And honestly, I believe that puts the 3 of them all kind of close together. Pio unfortunately had a bit of a rougher first session. I haven't really been able to watch too many games just due to like the amount of travel and things that I've had going on. But like hopefully I will be able to continue and just have a general or better idea of what people are falling prey to and seeing what is happening in the league. But anyway, that does do it for the A2 games tonight, and I believe for all of the games tonight.
Well, it's B1, but yes.
Oh yeah, B1.
We've been jumping around a whole lot, so
yeah.
No,
We started at A2 forever. All right. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us tonight. My name is Max. I am from the Greater Cincinnati Ricci Mahjong Club, which conveniently
I was going to say we still got one more thing we got to announce for you,
Yep.
right?
Yep, conveniently, I am actually hosting my own tournament here, an in-person tournament with WRC rules. Don't worry, we are using the baby chumbo rules that New York City used for their tournament, so we will be less strict about enforcing chumbos in the hope that it is a bit more new player friendly. I know that there are also already quite a few people signed up that are not the most not the most experienced. I have just put the link in the Twitch chat if anyone is interested in checking it out. It is happening November 12th and 13th in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Which is
Newport, Kentucky.
Veterans Day weekend, right?
Yep, Veterans Day weekend. So if you are a government employee, you might have that weekend off, or might have a long weekend. Nice and easy to get out there.
And then the
our-
other thing is that okay, so how many people are signed up for your tournament so far?
as of this cast, we are at 33.
And
with a
how
few
many?
other
And
people.
what's your cap that you're looking at here?
Yep, the cap is going to be at 48 people, so I have 15 spots left. Uh, honestly, I don't expect to get there, but the registration is being cut off on November 5th, a week before the tournament date. It is, yep, our boy Smawman. Appreciate. I got the RSVP while I was casting.
Yep, that's our
Thank you
director
very-
right there.
Yep,
for
thank you
tonight's
very much for
broadcast.
both directing and coming to my tournament. It is a $30 buy-in, which is fairly cheap as far as North American events go. Honestly, everything I'm just kind of running everything at cost because I like playing Mahjong, and I hope people come to Cincinnati. And honestly, if you're one of those people that likes memeing on the internet, technically the tournament is in Newport, Kentucky, which is just across the river. Our airport is also in Kentucky, so you do not have to.
Which means you never have to be in Ohio.
Yep, you do not have to be in Ohio for the entire tournament, unless you want to go to karaoke afterwards. That is in Ohio. Alrighty, well, once again, my name is Max, sometimes known as Light Pink Yoshi. I have been joined by Edwin.
Yep. And again, you can see there on the ending screen here. You can follow us at American Ricci. The website's americanricci.org if you wish to sign up for the upcoming winter season. And if you want to look at our prior broadcasts, it's tinyurl.com/ARMLYT.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for another night of Mahjong, and we will see you later.
Have a good night, everybody.